Live from Tad Gormley Stadium in New Orleans, Crescent City Sports is proud to bring you high school track and field. This evening we will crown champions of the Catholic League for both boys and girls as the District 9 5A championship takes place. Hi again, everybody. Lenny Vangilder, pleased to be with you for the second consecutive year, bringing you this Catholic League track and field championship. Pleased to be joined tonight by Newman head coach Mark Faliveno. Mark, to start with, thank you for being here tonight. It's great to have you with us, and it's great to be sitting here talking about track and field.
My pleasure, Lenny. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here, so happy to be watching this Catholic League meet. Should be a great one.
Looking forward to it. Let's talk about the district championship and the start of the postseason process, if you will. This is a 3-week run towards a state championship. In the case of these schools, it will take place 2 weeks from Saturday at Bernie Moore Stadium in Baton Rouge. Just talk about the process and how we get to that point and what all of this means, what we're going to see here tonight.
Well, for many of these schools, Lenny, it starts with the indoor season. I know a lot of these guys out here start working in December. And, while indoor season is great, it's nice, it's highly competitive, but what I think we're all shooting for is that district title and getting our kids, moving on to the regional meet and then on to the state meet. We had a little meeting with our kids today. We had our district meet yesterday, and we said this is step one of the 3-step process, as you alluded to. It's about performing your best at the end of the season, and that's what all these kids are out here trying to do, and move on to that regional meet next Thursday.
Got many of them on the infield now warming up. You've got field events that have been going on for about the last 85 minutes or so, and we'll get into some of those results as we get through the evening. Jesuit and Mount Carmel, the defending champions. How do you see tonight playing out, and who perhaps has the best chance of dethroning the Blue Jays and the Cubs as district champions?
Well, I think it's going to be much of the same from last year. They're going to be both teams, Jesuit and Mount Carmel, both going to be strong in the field events. They've got good jumps, good horizontal jumps in their long and triples. Solid in the throws. You have to be conscious of what John Curtis is going to do once we get on the track. They've got solid field events as well. Dominican poses a threat, I believe, on the girls' side, because they, like Mount Carmel, are going to be solid from top to bottom and have lots and lots of depth.
And let's not forget, Edna Carr was in that mix as well last year on the girls' side, finishing second to Mount Carmel. Last year it was Jesuit, 20 points ahead of John Curtis, another 23 points back to Edna Carr. Brother Martin finished fourth, although Brother Martin won this district meet 2 years ago. So, again, you can look at these things on paper sometimes. You could take the best marks from the year and try to score this thing. But at the end of the day, on this night, you're trying to peak towards this night and this 3-week run to put out your best performances. And sometimes what's sitting there on paper as your best mark of the year doesn't equal what we're going to see here this evening.
Paper doesn't win championships, Lenny. And I know from a coach's perspective, and I've done this many times, where you get the heat sheets the day before, the night before, and you try to score it out, and believe me, you just make yourself crazy, and it all comes down to whether or not these kids show up on race day.
Well, we're getting set for the first events that will be getting underway here at the bottom of the hour. It will be the 4x800 meter relays. Everything tonight will be girls first, followed by boys, and we will take you all the way through all the running events. Of course, as always, ending with the 4x400 meter relay at the end of the night. And there is nothing like a meet coming down to the 4x4 with a team championship on the line, with the scoring that close and just the atmosphere that comes into a stadium when that's the case.
Oh, absolutely. From a spectator and a fan's perspective, I think that's what everybody here would love to see.
From a coach's standpoint, no, you don't want that.
I want the meet well in hand before the 4x4 gets there.
Absolutely. No, I totally get that completely. So Mount Carmel is certainly the favorite in this event. They set a district record a year ago of 10:02.86 and won this event by 43 seconds over Dominican. So you would figure they would be the prohibitive favorite to win this event once again. And as you look at things on the boys' side, it figures to be, as usual, when you start talking about anything involving the distances, a pretty close matchup between Jesuit and Brother Martin. A year ago, Jesuit was a little over 3 seconds or 4 seconds ahead of Brother Martin at the finish, 8:13.19 to 8:17.22. In fact, that 8:13.19 time by Jesuit is a neat record. So, again, we'll look and see how this gets ready to play out. We're getting the first leg runners at the line. They will each make 2 laps around the track. Of course, this is a 400-meter surface. They see the hurdles are out there. That's for the next event. They'll be running far inside of that. The first 2 lanes are clear. And away we go with the running portion of the District 9 5A Championships. It is Carr, Mount Carmel, Dominican, and Chappelle.
Lenny, I know Coach Kaiser preaches to his girls to be aggressive out there, and I can totally see, Mount Carmel trying to set the tone early in this 4x800 meter relay.
So 200 meters in the books as they'll head towards the home stretch for this first of 8 laps. As they pass us for the first time, that is Mount Carmel trying to gain an edge on the outside.
It's a pretty fast first lap here, Lenny.
Yep.
Let's see if these young ladies can hold on.
1:12 and change for the first 400 meters.
That's moving pretty good.
And I would guess in an event like this, if you're Carr, where you're going to excel in the 100, 200, 400, you want to put somebody on that front leg to maybe try to set a fast pace here.
You do. And you're certainly looking to, maybe bust up those other 3 schools and maybe try to eke out a third place, get a few points where maybe you didn't think you were going to get points, going into it.
So it's Mount Carmel on the lead right now. As this first leg of the 4x8 is 600 plus meters in the books. You will see as they come down the stretch that the boys triple jump is underway as well. Those field events do continue, some going on the auxiliary field behind where we are here in the press box at Tad Gormley Stadium.
Looks like this first leg, Lenny's going to come through in about 2:30, 2:32.
And there's the handoff, a little bit of a struggle there, but
which
still clean,
Which you wouldn't think would happen in a 4x8, but sometimes you never know.
Still have to make it clean, and
right.
Mount Carmel has the lead probably about 15 meters, 20 meters as we head towards the back stretch of this first part of leg 2.
Kind of an impressive start by Chappelle. Them ranked at 11:52. They're trying to hang in there with the 2 top dogs in the district, Dominican and Mount Carmel.
So Mount Carmel continuing to lead the way as we head towards the 1,200 meter mark.
Looks like Dominicans made up a little ground on them though, Lenny.
Yeah, they have. It's Sabrina Chittenden running the second leg for Mount Carmel, but Dominican I think might have been 4th at the first exchange, and they've gotten it all the way back to 2nd here.
Yeah,
Chappelle is 3rd and Carr is 4th as they pass the line for the 3rd time. 5 laps to go in this 4x8.
Yeah, you can see the two schools really starting to separate themselves now.
Mount Carmel's best time of the year, 10:21.64. Dominican 10:34.85 was their best mark of the year. And the Cubs have really stretched it out now. That leads about probably 50 meters or more as we head into the turn and down the home stretch to get towards the halfway point of this opening running event.
Yeah, that's a really nice finish at 200 meters from Sabrina on that second leg. Better exchange that time,
yeah,
Lenny.
Absolutely. The handoff came at about 5:08. Dominican handoff will come at about 5:24.
Carr moving into third place here.
Yeah, Carr's in third. Chappelle is in fourth. As we have made it to the halfway point and beyond of this 4x800 meter relay. And the lead right now for Mount Carmel is pretty much at 100 meters. The length of the backstretch. Spent some time in the horse racing game, reminiscent of Secretariat in the Belmont about now.
Indeed. It's much tougher on these 800-meter runners now that they've changed the order of events, and you don't have the long gap that we used to have the past couple of years between the start of the 4x8 and the rest of the running events. So some of these kids are going to have to come back, maybe in the mile, maybe in the 800, and it's a lot tougher on them. So we'll see how they do.
Not much of a gap, certainly, towards the 1600.
Carr looks like they're closing in on Dominican here.
Carr came in with a best time of 11:33.
They keep this pace up, they'll far exceed that today.
We are 7 minutes in, as you see, in this opening event. And Mount Carmel at this point, you would think, just needs to keep the baton off the ground to win this event once again.
They should certainly win this thing going away, as they say.
Yeah, and now you're looking at a battle for second going on the backstretch as Carr is about to pass Dominican for second.
Well, the nice thing here, Lenny, is with only 4 teams competing, everybody's going to move on to race again next week, provided they finish.
Right. There's 5 girls teams in the district, and John Curtis did not have an entry in this event. So the other 4, Mount Carmel, Dominican, Carr, Chappelle, all fielding teams. And it's a battle here for second as we head into this third and final handoff. Dominican will make the handoff second.
Mount Carmel's got about almost 150 meter lead.
Yeah, that's strong. Yeah, we mentioned a year ago they won this by 43 seconds and change over Dominican. They might exceed that this time around. Let's see.
It's possible.
Chappelle now making its handoff for the 4th and final leg. As they do, the lead runner for Mount Carmel is coming down the stretch for the first of her 2 laps. She will cross the line for the first time in a little over 9 minutes. Call it 9:05 and change. Again, that district record 10:02 is not in jeopardy right here. This is
No, certainly not today.
No, not today.
Certainly not today. But if if she stays on the pace, it's hard to do when you're running by yourself and you're not being pushed. But maybe they can run a seasonal best time here.
Exactly. So enough separation now as Dominican has separated themselves from Carr, and that's, a couple of points that could go a long way in these standings. One of the things that, every point sometimes can make a difference when you start talking about finish. And to Dominican's credit, they have really cut in to this gap, which was probably, like you said, it was 150 meters at one point. It's probably down to about 100.
I would think the Mount Carmel anchor leg, which should be Lee Montanez, probably just has it on cruise control at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking to get the win. They're going to be a little off that seasonal best pace.
But again, at this point, times are nice, but it's all about where you finish.
Let's get the 8 points and let's move on to the next event.
Unofficially 10:30 and change. We'll wait for the official time to be posted. 10:30:54 for Mount Carmel. Dominican will cross the line second in 10:50:60. Carr will certainly have a season best here. Their best was 11:33. They are going to easily beat that mark, 11:12 or so.
That's a nice race for them.
11:86 for Carr, and now we wait for Archbishop Chappelle to cross the line, and they will finish fourth, and then we will get you set up for the boys. And we mentioned it. Yeah, we talked about Jesuit, Brother Martin, but Holy Cross has a season best of 8:26.63, which is only 3 seconds shy of 23:41. John Curtis is at 8:40. Carr is at 8:42. Right. Good finish there. Good sprint to the finish by Chappelle to get in under 12 minutes there. 11:54.83, just off their seed time by about 2 seconds.
Right. We're assuming that that Jesuit is going to be the winner here, but as they say, you never know what can happen.
Exactly. It depends on
But that battle for two through 4 should be pretty fun to watch.
Jesuit has, obviously they won, multiple state championships in cross country, although it was a lot closer this year between Jesuit and Brother Martin in that Division I state championship than it certainly was 2 years ago when Jesuit put up a perfect score. They ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9. How hard is that to do at a state meet? That's hard. That's hard to do in any meet, nevertheless, the state championship.
At the Division I/5A level, I would think it would be darn near impossible. But they found a way to do it. Talented bunch of guys, great coaching. Give a lot of credit to Coach Harrow and his staff this year because they certainly gave Jesuit a run for the money and gave them all they can handle.
And so, from the top to the bottom of your screen, as you look at it, it's St. Augustine, Carr, Holy Cross, Jesuit, Brother Martin, John Curtis, and Archbishop Rubble. At least that's how they're supposed to line up. So it's
doesn't always add up when it's on paper.
And again, when you're dealing with when you're dealing with the distance race like this, position is not that critical.
Nope.
In fact, I wonder if St. Augustine withdrew out of this because I only see 6 teams out there. And I think that's Carr on the inside.
That is Carr on the inside. And
not a surprise, we see Jesuit and Brother Martin at the front here as we had down the back stretch of this first of 8 laps.
This is going to be a fun one, Lenny.
I think if Jesuit and Brother Martin played tiddlywinks on the 50-yard line, it would be exciting. So,
most certainly the rivalry between those two schools.
And the good thing is they're going to push each other, too. And they'll make this first lap right at 60 seconds.
Whew. That is moving, my friend.
Jesuit a year ago set the district meet record in this event, 8:13:19. Shows you the depth of their team.
I wouldn't be surprised if that record falls this evening.
Yeah, it's a warm, humid, a little bit windy afternoon. I don't know how that plays in terms of, running. And now look at
Carr making a move at the 200-meter mark.
Huge move there, yeah, and going to the lead.
Well, this is good weather for a sprinter, Lenny. Not so much for a distance runner, but maybe the cloud cover keeping the heat down just a little bit for these guys.
All right, and that one little sprint quickly went away, and here goes Jesuit and Brother Martin back to the front. Carr back in third.
Hanging tough, though.
Yeah, hanging in there, coming back. And they will hand off. Jesuit first, Brother Martin second, Carr third in about 2:02 and change.
Clean exchanges there, but again, like we said with the girls' race, 4x8 exchanges should be clean.
So it remains the Blue Jays on top, followed by the Crusaders, and now here goes Carr's second leg trying to push again and may try to overtake both of these runners on the backstretch, already in second place. Can the Cougars regain the lead?
Certainly running stride for stride with these guys from Jesuit and Brother Martin. Two very different ways of training this race with these teams, Lenny. You know, Jesuit and Brother Martin coming at it for more of a traditional distance, cross-country background where, Carr, kind of treats their 800 meters as long sprinters.
Yes, right. And Carr has the lead right now with Brother Martin second and Jesuit third.
And you see,
as we head towards 1,000 meters. 1,400 meters in this race.
And I think you see a lot of that at the higher levels, collegiately and certainly internationally, Olympically. These 800-meter runners these days, you would think they were 400-meter runners.
Mm-hmm. A lot of 400-meter runners have become they were sprinters that were stretched out.
Not quite fast enough to be a sprinter at that level. Yeah.
Right. And so as they come back down the stretch in front of us, Carr and Brother Martin shoulder to shoulder, with Jesuit about 5 meters back in third. Let's see how they hand it off as we head towards the third leg. Brother Martin makes the first handoff, followed by Carr.
Right around 8:10 pace for this relay, which is what you thought you would get from Jesuit. Carr making a statement here in this race.
Yep. Holy Cross and Curtis running 4-5, Rummel back in sixth. And it's about to become a 3-horse race once again, as here come the Blue Jays on the outside. Going to make a wide turn, and it looks like Jesuit is going to try to take the lead right here.
Tough making that pass at that point in the race, but he's going for it.
So it's Carr, Jesuit, Brother Martin. Now Jesuit takes the lead as we head into lap number 6.
An impressive leg so far by their number 3.
Jesuit now stretching it out. They've got a lead of about 7 or 8 meters as we head down the backstretch.
All of these guys are loving having a little tailwind to them as they come down the home stretch here.
Yes, exactly. It's going to help those sprinters later on when we get into coming up in a minute. The 100 hurdles and the 100-meter dash will be up next. Jesuit has now stretched it out. This lead about 15, closing on 20 meters here. And they will make the handoff at about 6:07. That would put them ahead of that record pace of a year ago when they ran 8:13.19.
I don't have the splits in front of me, Lenny, but that looked like he may have run sub-2 pace.
I agree. They have stretched it out now. The Blue Jays in command. That's a good 20 to 25 meter lead down the backstretch on this final lap, or final leg, first lap, 600 meters to go. See where they hit the line at one final time.
At this point, it's a fight for second place between Carr and Brother Martin.
Yeah, Brother Martin is stuck a nose out for second here.
Little surprised by Holy Cross in this race. I would have expected them to be up closer with Carr and Brother Martin for sure.
They had that entry time of 8:26, crossing the line in 7:07, so they've got a great shot to break their record of a year ago of 8:13. Just need a 65-second final lap. It is the Blue Jays in command.
Brother Martin trying to make a move. I think the gap is just too big.
Brother Martin solidly in second now ahead of Carr, and a great race for fourth between Rummel, John Curtis, and Holy Cross. And Rummel has made up some ground here and is about to take over fourth place. But right now, it is all about Jesuit coming down the lane one final time. Can they get the record that they set a year ago of 8:13.19? This will be very close. And they will get it.
Got it.
We'll wait for the official time, but it's 8:10 and change. Brother Martin is going to run right at 8:17, which is what they ran in this race a year ago. 8:10.30 is the official time for Jesuit.
Heck of a race by Brother Martin. 6 seconds, 7 seconds faster than their seed time. They've got to be happy with that.
So a year ago, Brother Martin ran 8:17.22 in this event. Today they run 8:17.59. Carr is third. Curtis, Holy Cross, and Rummel, they finished fourth, fifth, and sixth. So next up on the track, we get into the sprints, and this should be fun. You mentioned that tailwind, Mark, and I don't know if we'll get any kind of indication of just how strong it is, but certainly it is at the runners' backs, and it's going to help them in a big way. And we'll start with the 100-meter hurdles. The best time in this event in lane 6, Adeline Dufresne of John Curtis, 16:31.
Adeline's they're all everything athlete. She's a high jumper. She throws the javelin. Really, really good athlete.
On either side of her, it will be Harper Griffin of Dominican, who comes in with a best time of 18:58. Sophie Stein of Mount Carmel comes in with a time of 18:39. So the focus will be on lanes 5, 6, 7 here. With those events over now, let's check in, and we probably have some of the field events. Let's give you a quick update while we wait for the hurdles to get underway on the team scores. On the girls' side, Mount Carmel currently in the lead with 35 points. Dominican and Carr tied for second with 20. Chappelle with 6, John Curtis with 2. On the boys' side, Jesuit with the lead with 45, John Curtis 39, Brother Martin 31, Edna Carr 20, Holy Cross and Rummel each with 10.
Just as we said from the beginning, right? Jesuit and Mount Carmel are going to be strong in the field events. They're going to try to build a big lead with their jumps and their throws, and see what happens on the track.
Some of these events still being scored right now. It's like 7 of the field events are done out of 14 that have been entered into the system or completed. We'll update some of those as we go here. While we do have a moment, we do want to remind you that today's coverage on Crescent City Sports brought to you by the Lamarck Motor Company in Kenner. Lamarck Quick Lane services all makes and models, batteries, tires, oil changes, and more. All done quickly while you enjoy some popcorn. Must be a reason. Our thanks to Ronnie Lamarck and his entire team at the Lamarck Motor Company for their support of high school athletics here on Crescent City Sports. And it gives us an opportunity, because Ronnie would want me to remind you of this, because this is his alma mater. The Chalmette Owls tomorrow night against Slidell, Game 2 of their best-of-3 series, live right here on Crescent City Sports. Kirk Bullinger will join me. We're on the air at 6:20, first pitch at 6:30 from the parish. They're playing Game 1 tonight. Full coverage of all of that at CrescentCitySports.com, along with coverage of tonight's meet and much, much more. Everything going on, of course, the baseball playoffs getting underway here today. And this weekend, first round, everything is now in the higher levels, a best-of-3 series until you get to the semis and finals. At one point, it was the first round games used to be one game. Now everything is now best-of-3. And in fact, next year, the semifinals will even be a best-of-3 series, which will stretch the season out, stretch the playoffs out another week. It will actually, they'll have to make adjustments to the regular season. But we hope you'll join us tomorrow night for that. It should be a good one.
Better make sure you have plenty of pitching in those best-of-3 series, huh, Lenny?
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. That's what you prepare all season for now, to get your pitching ready to be able to handle such a situation. So as we get ready for the 100-meter hurdles, the girls, again, your lane assignments from right to left as you view it. Lane 3 from Chappelle, Nikita Mollison. Lane 4 from Chappelle, on Dole. Lane 5 is Harper Griffin from Dominican. Lane 6, Adeline Dufresne from Curtis. Lane 7, Sophie Stein from Mount Carmel. Lane 8, Mary Pillier from Dominican. And Lane 9, Layla Hong from Mount Carmel. Hear the wind blowing on our microphone out there. It is gusting out there. There's no doubt about it. It's a nice, warm night. You'd rather this instead of rain, cold, or anything else. You run, think about track and field. About the only thing you probably don't run in is lightning. You're running the rain. You're running the cold. You're running the wind. It's just deal with all the different conditions out there. And some conditions will produce better results, like tonight.
Tonight's going to be a great night for these sprinters. Keeps the legs nice and loose, keeps them warm. Nothing that a sprinter hates more than a cold night on the track. It was a crazy weather year this year, huh, Lenny? For track and field, it seemed like it rained every other week. Meets were getting canceled. We went to several meets this year where we had to cancel field events because the throwing areas were just underwater and couldn't do anything. And
yeah, the tracks are all weather.
Correct.
Yeah, the other where the throws take place isn't necessarily all weather. In reality, it's probably not. So they're getting what the delay is here, but we're didn't have enough.
Not enough hurdles on the track.
Not enough hurdles on the track. We only had hours to get ready for the first running event of the day, right?
Well, I can tell you from a meet management standpoint, we host our invitational out here And with the new order of events, the one thing that is nice having the hurdles in the beginning is you can get them set and ready, leaving the first 2 to 3 lanes open for those 4x8s. But you can certainly get the track set and ready to go. So, and look, here's the other thing: they want to make sure that they're giving these kids enough rest in between races so that they can perform at their best. They don't want to just get on the track and bang, 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 run off a bunch of races and not get the proper recovery time for a kid who's double, tripling, and maybe even quadrupling this evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're about 5 minutes behind at the moment in terms of timing. This was scheduled to begin at 5:55. But, they always add a little bit of time in there. You do want to allow for a certain amount of time in between, but there's a little bit of wiggle room. But again, you want to keep it moving, and it's one of the challenges the track faces is a sport to present itself to the public eye is you can have some downtime at this point, and it's the ability to keep things moving is important to the spectators.
Right. You want to keep the delays to a minimum. Everybody understands that you've got to get hurdles set. You've got to, when we go from girls to boys, you have to raise them. You have to move them back to different marks. And people get that and understand that and are tolerant of that. But we want to keep those situations to a minimum if possible. Nothing stresses me out more when running a meet than the hurdles and making sure. And here's the other thing too, Lenny, is getting enough people to help move those things around, because
and it's one thing with the district meet. They are very good about splitting up assignments among all of the schools, boys and girls in the league, to handle all of these different things. While we do have a moment, let's catch you up on some of these field events. Boys discus won by Caleb Smith of Brother Martin with a PR of 139.5. Joseph Fagan of John Curtis second, 134.2. Robert Vaughn of Rummel third, 133.11. Zaire Shepard of John Curtis, just an 8th grader, fourth at 131.10. So they will all move on to the regionals.
Looks like we got a few more field events that have been finalized here too, Lenny.
Yeah. The girls javelin, Sophie Junius of Mount Carmel, calling the Junius name for a long time, 110.6 to win the district championship. Caitlin Bird of Dominican with a PR 106.8 to finish second. Marissa Rinderly of Archbishop Chappelle third, 102.10. And Adeline Dufresne of John Curtis fourth with a PR of 97.5. So they all move on to the regional meet. And here we go in the 100-meter hurdles. And as we mentioned, in lane 6, no surprise to see Adeline Dufresne way out in front. And she is going to cruise to victory here. And
that's a dynamite race. Dynamite race. She's got great technique over the hurdles. She maintains her speed on the track. Just a really, really, really good athlete, as I mentioned before.
15.75 her time to win it. 2 seconds ahead, or more than 2 seconds ahead of the next best finisher. So 10 big points for the Lady Patriots right there.
And here we go, as we mentioned, the hurdle crew.
Yep.
Moving the hurdles back to the blue marks, up 2 notches. It is a small feat, but when you have a great district coaches and help, this is not a problem.
You see, let's count how many people I see out there messing with hurdles right now. About 18 of them?
About that. You could probably use 1,800 to to move the hurdles.
And you can take some off. There'll be 6 in the boys 110 hurdles. Best mark in this race, Caleb Curry from Archbishop Rummel, 15.29, just ahead of Jair Burks of Jesuit, 15.32, and Kyron Sumler of John Curtis, 15.41. So this shapes up to be a good race in the middle of the track here.
Should be a great race. On a personal note, I've got a rooting interest. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on air, Lenny, but in lane 7, Dylan Drouet from Brother Martin is my next door neighbor.
There you go.
And I've known him since he was 4 years old. So, Dylan, I hope you have a great race, buddy.
The Currys and the Vangilders spent a lot of time together in grammar school, so know the Curry family as well. My son and Caleb were classmates for many years. My daughter and Caleb's younger sister are becoming fast friends now.
Close-knit community.
Oh, no doubt. Like I always say, there's only 500 people in the city of New Orleans. So. So we get just about set here. It'll be a field of 6 in the 110 hurdles. Trying to see if any more scores have now been updated here. It's like they have now. Let's quickly update the team scores. Mount Carmel 44, Dominican 30, Carr 20, Curtis 18, Chappelle 13. On the boys' side, Jesuit 45, Curtis 39, Brother Martin 31, Carr 20, Holy Cross and Rummel each with 10. While we wait for them to finish the hurdles, let's I think the girls' discus is now gone final. Kiva Thomas. How many times have we called her name in this meet over the years?
Is she finally a senior?
Yeah, she is finally a senior, yes. 127.8, top 10 in the state this year.
That's a great throw.
Yeah.
That is a great throw.
Was that? I don't have the records for the discus in front of me. Let me see if I can find it. It may be on this sheet.
We've seen Kiva a lot this year at the meets around town, and she's just a dynamite thrower.
That is a district record.
Good for her. Congratulations, Kiva.
Kaylee Dublin of Chappelle second, another PR 118.2. Autumn Johnson of Dominican third, 103.7. Juliet Wax of Mount Carmel fourth, 97.10. Mention the boys discus, the girls javelin. Let's catch you up on the boys javelin quickly. And Zach Drake of John Curtis. What a throw. 196.8.
Oh, wow.
Top 25 in the nation this year.
Huge PR for him.
Yeah. And that is, let's see if that, by chance, is a district record. We're about ready. I think the hurdle crew getting a hand as they get everything in position. The boys javelin record is actually 2:11.4, going back to 1986. Jeff Booth and Brother Martin set that mark. So that's a long-standing. We'll get into that. There's a lot of long-standing records in this district. Landon Craig of Brother Martin second with a PR of his own, 161.2. Peter Connolly of Jesuit third, 156.5. Michael Taylor of Holy Cross fourth with a PR of 153.10. Congratulations to them. They all advance to the regional meet. Set to go in the 110 hurdles, and off we go. Curry in lane 5. He's out in front of the field and has stretched that lead. It continues to stretch his lead, and he will win a district championship.
That's a clean race by those 4 finishers that are moving on to the regional meet. Really good race from those 4 guys.
Curry 14.75. Kyron Sumler of Curtis second in 15.21, just ahead of Jair Burks of Jesuit, 15.23.
It's rare that you see a guy's hurdle race where there isn't at least one person clanking a hurdle down.
That
was super clean.
Yeah. So the hurdles go away, and now we get to the flat hundreds. We will have 2 divisions in both the girls and the boys. It's your heats against time, but again, the way they're seated, you'll have the slower entering times will run in the first heat, so you'll see the faster runners all together in the second heat. Our first heat, there will just be 2 runners in the girls 100.
And these seat times are all based on performances these young women and men have had during the regular track season. It's not like the old days where a coach could fudge on a time to get his or her athlete a better lane assignment. So these are all legit times.
Everything's documented now.
Yes, sir.
In the girls' long jump, while they continue to clear the hurdles, congratulations to Alexandra Oliveri of Mount Carmel, the winner at 15.6 1/4. Marley Hayes of Endicott, second with a PR 15.5 3/4. Audrey Johnson, just a freshman at Mount Carmel, like Hayes, 15.3 1/2, finishes third. Donjane Madison of Carr, 15.1, finishes fourth. So Mount Carmel and Carr eat up the top 4 spots there, and all of the points that come with it right there in the long jump, and all 4 of those young ladies on the regionals. In the boys' long jump, it's a 1-2 sweep for Jesuit. Jody Barber, 21.7. Drago Satanovic, 20 feet 4 inches, finishes second. Just get hungry saying that. Jaden Hunter of Endicott with a PR 20 feet 3 inches, finishes third. Just edges out Kieran Smith of Holy Cross, who also jumped 23, so Hunter would advance, or would be third and get third place points based on the second best jump. And Troy Brown and John Curtis just out of the top 4, finishing fifth, 20 feet even. So Barber, Satanovic, Hunter, Smith all move on to the regionals in the boys' long jump.
Solid effort from those long jumpers, considering the fact, we're talking about the wind and the hurdles and the 100 here. They're going to have the advantage of having the wind at their back, while the long jumpers have the disadvantage of having wind into their face jumping at those south pits. Yeah,
that's interesting. You've got pits at either end, but they just jump the other way. Usually you can align it, but I guess that's a facility decision just to go one way.
Well, I think it's more of a meet management decision, because the timing, folks, they have to set up their equipment down there at the finish line.
Right, and it's right next to the pit, exactly.
Yeah.
You actually have 2 runways and 2 pits on this side. So we're getting ready for section 1 of the girls' 100-meter dash. While we wait for that, we can tell you about the girls' triple jump, won by Marley Hayes of Endicott with a PR of 33.5. Emma Learett of Dominican, 32.8. Audrey Johnson of Mount Carmel, 31.10. That's a PR. All 3 of those young ladies are freshmen. They finished 1, 2, 3. Ella Schwinn of Mount Carmel, 4th, a senior, 31.5 1/2. So Hayes, Learett, Johnson, Schwinn all moving on to the regional meet. And in the boys' triple jump, it's Kyron Sumler of John Curtis, 44.5, defeating Jaden Hunter of Endicott, second, 43.1. Caleb Freelo of Jesuit, 40 feet 1 inch. Walker Brown of Brother Martin, fourth, 38.7 1/2. A half inch better than Jair Burks of Jesuit for that 4th and final spot to move on to the regional meet. Every inch, every second counts, every inch
everything
counts.
Counts.
Yes,
Everything
it does.
counts. Kyron, he's a heck of a jumper, Lenny. He was the field MVP for our meet that we hosted here back in March. He's just really a dynamite athlete.
Still waiting on the results in shot put, high jump, pole vault. Still see some activity going on over there in the pole vault across the way.
Pole vault can be the never-ending event sometimes.
Exactly.
Shot put looks like it's still well underway over there.
Shot put rings over behind the football scoreboard. So those shot put, pole vault, and the jumps take place inside the stadium. The javelin and the discus are out in the field behind us, where the practice track is. Just the good news here is when we do get rolling, we can run pretty much one heat right after the other.
Yeah, most definitely. We joke all the time, the shortest race on the track takes the longest to get going.
All right, so here we go. It looks like just one heat is running right now, so I don't know if somebody...
They ran the first heat.
Okay, we had
before.
the first
Yes,
heat. Okay.
we had the first.
Second heat coming up.
Good start from Bordes.
In the middle of the track, Bordes along with Payne. And in lane 6, Bordes trying to hold off Payne, and it will be Abrielle Payne of Carr to get in front.
That just shows how good top-end speed that she has, because Bordes got a tremendous start out of the blocks there.
Payne 12:34, Bordes 12:38. You talk about that win, right?
That's got to be a PR for both of those young ladies.
Certainly season best. Abigail Curtis Moore, 12:89, third from Mount Carmel. So now we get set for the boys' 100-meter dash. And again, 2 sections. And we're trying to catch you up on all of those field results, and just that quickly they got off that first section of the girls' finals while we were the girls' 100 while we were talking.
They snuck it in, didn't they?
Yes, that's all right. Keep them moving.
Looking at those team results while we're sitting here waiting, Lenny, looks like John Curtis closing the gap a little bit on Jesuit.
Yeah. On the girls' side, Mount Carmel 48, Dominican 36, Carr 29, Curtis 18, Chappelle 15. And on the boys' side, Jesuit 51, Curtis 49, Brother Martin 35, Rummel 21, Carr 20, Holy Cross 10. Holy Cross and Curtis, the 2 best times in this. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first, this first section of the boys' 100. Bottom of your screen, that's Jesse Martinez of Jesuit, who appears to get to the line first. And I don't know if we're going to have some unofficial times here, but the clock did not go. Sure they can go back now. They're going to probably figure something out here. Let's see. I'm sure they've got the ability to make the adjustments on those things. It's not like they're going to have to rerun it.
No. There's always a backup. There's always a backup to the backup.
Yes. So they'll make sure that's good to go here before we get to the next heat. They've got to, I guess, enter those times before we run the second section.
They'll make sure everything is in order and the computer is ready and the clock is ready, the camera is ready. It sure is nice having live results these days. The technology that allows you to follow track and field in real time is really been great.
No doubt.
All right, guns up. Looks like we're ready to go.
All right. Clock back at 0, and again, it's Lane 5, Josh Brown of Holy Cross has the fastest time entering the meet, 10:43, just ahead of Michael Turner of John Curtis, 10:44, the LSU football signing. Denham Charles of St. Augustine, who's in lane 4, has the next best time at 10:60. So those 3 in the middle of the track. Charles in 4, Brown in 5, Turner in 6, and off we go.
Good start.
And Turner is just ahead. Can he hold on to the lead, or can Brown catch him? Oh, it's tight. We got to wait and see. Wow, what a finish there
like
in the 100.
That looked like Turner got him by a nose there at the end, to use your horse racing reference earlier.
It is Brown at 10:30. No, it's Turner, 10:37.
Turner looked like he had him there.
0.06 of a second, the difference. 10:37 for Turner, 10:38 for Brown, 10:75 for Denham Charles, and 10:78 for Micah Green of Archbishop Rummel. Those are the 4 who will advance. So That is a district record. How about that?
That's impressive.
32-year-old Mark just fell. Carlos Jones of Archbishop Shaw back in 1992 ran 10:41. That record just went down by Michael Turner. By the way, Carlos Jones is a pretty good football player in his own right, just like Michael Turner.
Sure. That's a great job by Michael. Great start. He was patient. He got up. He was up nice and tall, had great posture right around 40, 50 meters, and just brought it home. Stayed up nice and relaxed. You can just tell he's a special one.
All right, so next up on the track will be the 4x200 meter relays. And every team in the field has an entry. We'll see 5 girls teams, 7 boys teams running in this event. One of the things that I like up the high school level, you see more of these relay events. The college meets that do run more relays than others. It's one of the things that makes them exciting. It's you've got multiple people involved. You've got the handoffs. It happens fairly quickly. Other than the 4x8's a little bit slower, obviously, but the 4x1 to 4x2, 4x4 are all very fast-paced events. You could see a lot of things changing in a very short period of time. So we'll see how it plays out here. The 4x200, the top seed on the girls' side, John Curtis, with the best time in the district of 1:45.58. They have the district record set 3 years ago of 1:41.39. And last year it was Carr who won this event in 1:44.97. Carr, in fact, swept on the girls' and boys' side here. Carr edged out Mount Carmel a year ago on the girls. Carr edging out John Curtis for the boys' 4x2.
From a spectator's point of view, everybody loves watching the relays, the excitement that it brings, getting the stick around the track. But I'll tell you this, from a sprint coach's perspective, it'll keep you up at night.
It's stressful.
It'll keep you up at night, for sure. It's all about keeping that stick moving at the same rate of speed around the track, and the 4x2 particularly, where it's really hard to practice, Lenny, because you can't really simulate that type of speed as you're decelerating into that exchange zone for the incoming runner. So it becomes tricky. Now, the nice thing is that the last couple of years they've extended the exchange zone to 30 meters as opposed to the former 20 meters. So it makes it a little bit easier, but still, there's a lot of restless nights there thinking about those relays.
Well, with that win in the 100 now, John Curtis has taken the lead in the boys' team standings with 59 points. Jesuit now second with 51. Brother Martin third with 35. Meanwhile, on the girls' side, Mount Carmel with a 12-point lead over Dominican, 48-36. Carr is third with 29.
And that's kind of thought how that's what we thought it was kind of how it was going to go, right? I mean, Curtis has got the speed. Jesuit has the endurance guys, so it'll be a back and forth battle the whole night, I think.
And again, we've still got some field events to come in. Boys and girls shot put have not been entered yet. Boys and girls high jump, boys and girls pole vault, which, at least on paper, with those events, that should be a little bit of an advantage to Jesuit once those are all completed and entered into the system. All right, so the girls now on the track getting set for the 4x200 meter. The lane assignments, Archbishop Chappelle will be to the inside in lane 3, Mount Carmel in lane 4, John Curtis in 5, Edna Carr in 6th, and Dominican in lane 7. You can list up to 8 runners on your teams here. Working on they might be working on the clock a little bit down there, just trying to get some things together. They did get the timing resolved from the first section of the boys 100. nothing as you would expect that would land in the top of the standings.
Looks like we're still waiting on our first and third exchange folks to get ready down there. Got some red flags. Red flag down here at the second exchange as well. So for those, I guess, not familiar, Lenny, with the exchange zone markings out there on the track, on the 4x2 relay, it's a green triangle to green triangle on the first two exchanges and the gold triangles on the third exchange. Little relay 101 for you there, my friend.
There you go. So still waiting here.
Looks like we're ready down there at the first exchange. Still waiting down here at the second.
Still a red flag up.
Coach White's got to get those girls ready down there. Not to have talking to with him after the meet.
It definitely takes a village to put on a track. There's no question about it.
You are telling me.
And these are not paid positions. These are volunteers who are doing this really at a lot of levels for the good of the sport.
For sure. It's more than just a handful of people. It really is, as you said, a village. And what I think a lot of folks don't realize is all the preparation that goes into putting this together. You know, we see how it goes through the flow of a meet, but it's the setup beforehand that allows you to have a smooth and efficient meet as you're going through and hosting. Looks like we're ready.
Just about ready. Interesting. Standing on some blocks, and then we look at Curtis in lane 5. They're not even starting with blocks here.
That's a surprising move. I would think they would be using blocks down there, but heck, they might be fast enough. They might be fast enough. They don't even need blocks.
No. Not a requirement. And here we go. Chappelle, Mount Carmel, Curtis, Carr, Dominican. And it looks like Carr is making up some of that stagger on Dominican and may make the handoff first as we head towards the first exchange.
Mount Carmel certainly make up some of that stagger on Curtis.
And Mount Carmel, and it's like things really slowed down in the exchange zone right there.
Yeah, as I said, that's what you want to try to accomplish is to maintain that same rate of speed with the baton throughout the exchange zone. They had a little trouble there.
And this is Carr with a big lead as they head towards the second exchange and cross the line for the first time. And a good solid exchange, and the Cougars have a huge lead around the turn in.
A lot of credit there to Curtis's second leg. She really made up what Mount Carmel took from them on the first leg.
Trying to close the gap here. It's Carr, then Curtis, then Mount Carmel as we head towards the final exchange. It will be the Cougars in the lead, but the Patriots have made up some ground. Can they close even more on this final leg?
Kind of a sloppy exchange there with the Curtis 3 and 4 runners, or else this could have been a little bit closer. She's still coming.
Don't think the Patriots can get there. It looks like Carr is going to hold on for a victory in the 4x2 in 145 and change. 145.58 is the time. Well off of Curtis's meet record, and even about a half a second slower than what Carr ran a year ago. So Carr, Curtis, Mount Carmel, Dominican, Chappelle in that order. Next on the track will be the boys 4x2. It will be Brother Martin in lane 2, Rummel in lane 3, Holy Cross in lane 4. The fastest time by 7/100ths of a second belongs to St. Augustine. They will be in lane 5. John Curtis in 6, Edna Carr in 7, Jesuit in 8. And you look at the top 4 times entering this, and I got to tell you, Mark, they're only separated by a second. St. Aug 128.51, Curtis 128.58, Holy Cross 129.11, Carr 129.55. Carr, by the way, set a meet record a year ago of 125.16 in this event.
That is
and
moving.
Won by over 2 seconds, in fact.
Well, this is going to come down to those exchanges. If they can get the stick around cleanly. I said we like I'm coaching over here, Lenny. But if they can get the stick around cleanly, that's going to be the difference in this race.
That's why coaches like to do this. They get to do everything a coach does except actually have to coach.
There's no stress involved. When
no,
you're
exactly,
up here.
exactly. Talking about Coach Kaiser at Mount Carmel. His dad sits up here with me during football season a lot of times in this very same press box, and he has come to embrace the concept of getting to do all of the preparation and he would do, learning personnel and seeing what people are going to do, and then not have to coach the game.
This is great. I can do this every day, Lenny. If you ever need me, you let me know, because this is fun. I love this sport. I love watching these kids compete. I love getting to see colleagues and friends of mine coaching and doing their thing, and I get to go home and not be upset by what happened or didn't happen. Still waiting on that. Looks like we got a white flag.
Now we got a white
there.
flag over there in exchange zones 1 and 3. I think we saw a white flag over here as well. Looks like John Mayer, our starter tonight, is ready to go. Little shout out to John, former Dominican head coach, back from my days over at Mount Carmel back in the early 2000s. John and I had quite a few district meets. He got the better of me on most of them, but great guy, great friend. All right. There's the gun. Once again, it is Brother Martin, Rummel, Holy Cross, St. Augustine, Curtis, Carr, and Jesuit. And you look at Carr right now in lane 7, making up some of that stagger. Let's see if they make the handoff first. They get all the way around here. A turn, very close there, across the board,
right
really.
about the same time.
Yeah, really close. Between Carr, Curtis, even St. Aug, Holy Cross all in it. We'll see that stagger kind of go away here in just a moment.
Carr out to the lead.
Yeah,
Curtis,
Carr makes the handoff first. Then Curtis.
St. Aug in third. Jesuit in fourth, it looks like.
We go to the final exchange. That's very tight there between Carr and Curtis. Let's see how this plays out. Coming down to the final 200. The Cougars and the Patriots going to battle it out down the lane. And right now it looks like Carr. But here comes Curtis.
Battle for that fourth qualifying spot between Jesuit and Rummel.
This is close for fourth. Carr hangs on. Very close for fourth. Jesuit's going to hang on.
Nice race out of them. Coming in with the second lowest seed time to finish fourth and qualify for regionals.
Yeah.
Great job.
I don't know if Holy Cross had an exchange problem, but they finished well behind the pack, despite coming in with the fourth fastest time. It is Carr in 1:28.4, Curtis in 1:28.5.
Just like we said earlier, Lenny, right? Meets aren't run on paper.
St. Aug Jesuit go third and fourth, and again, they will all advance to the regional meet. Jesuit just a tenth of a second ahead of Rummel. Now we're getting some of the official times coming in now.
Looks like that boys discus has concluded down there.
Let's catch up on the team scores here as we get ready. Next race on the track is going to be the girls' 1,600 meter. Let's take a look at where our team scores stand right now. Somehow my mouse doesn't disappear on me. So as of the moment, it is Mount Carmel 54, Dominican 48, Carr 37, Curtis 32, Chappelle 15 in the girls' standings. Wow, the boys' standings tight at the top. John Curtis 75, Jesuit 73. They've separated themselves now. Brother Martin third with 45, Rummel 29, Carr 23, Holy Cross 18, St. Aug 16.
Really playing out just as we thought it would.
So coming up next, it will be the girls' 1,600 meters. Top time belongs to Stella Junius of Mount Carmel, 5:16.40. Her teammate Lucy Quintana, 5:18.43. So a chance here for the Cubs to make some hay. It's just a 6-point lead at the moment over Dominican. Dominican has 2 runners in this race. Chappelle has 2, Carr has 1.
I've gotten to see Stella and Lucy race up close and personal this season, and boy, they've really come on here as of late, running some really strong times. They look really good going into the postseason.
Boys shot put you mentioned is now scored. Give the championship to Jakeem Stewart of St. Augustine, sophomore, with a girl 48.6, just ahead of Spencer Wagasback of Jesuit, with a PR of 47.10.5 to finish second. Caleb Smith of Brother Martin, 44.4.5, finishes third. Robert Vaughn Jr. of Archbishop Rummel, fourth at 43.1. So those 4 all advance to the regional
Sophomore
meet.
throwing 48 feet, huh? Wow, that's impressive. Happy for Spencer. I got to work a little bit with Spencer over the summer. We got some throwers together to work in the off season, and Spencer's a really good kid, really nice young man, works hard. I'm happy to see him moving on to the regional meet and get a PR today.
The girls' high jump. How about the performance? We talked about Adeline Dufresne and her running 100-meter hurdle. She wins the high jump with 5.10. That's one of the 10 best jumps in the nation this year for girls.
She's incredible.
And she's just a sophomore.
Just a sophomore. She's really something else.
Miley Clayton of Dominican second, and Bryce Cuvion of Dominican third. Audrey Johnson of Mount Carmel finishes fourth. So they all move on. They were the only 4 who cleared a height. So 5.10.
You hate to put the cart before the horse, right? But she's the kind of kid that can go on at the next level and probably be a really good heptathlete.
No doubt.
You know?
Well, if you can run the hurdles and if you can learn, there's not a lot of, in the heptathlon, not a lot of things that you've got to do that are,
that and the vault are the two hardest ones, right?
Right. It's a lot. It's running. It's you've got the jumps. It's there's a great chance at that. All right, so underway here in the girls' 1,600 meters. Well, they will make the first lap around. Let's catch you up on what happened in the boys' high jump, it was Kyron Sumler of John Curtis winning in 6'6". That's top 10 in the state this year. Brant Blanchard of Jesuit, second, 6 feet. Drago Zatanovich of Jesuit, third with 5'10". Jaden Thomas of Curtis, fourth, 5'10 as well. So they are the 4 that move on. Walker Brown and Ty McReynolds finishing 5th and 6th, so they both pick up points for their teams.
Keep mentioning that Drago name.
That's what, it's a couple of times.
Yeah.
And every time I get hungry.
So I have to imagine
the post game meal is that's going to be too.
The team banquet should be terrific.
I think it should.
I'll have to see if I can get us an invite.
No, okay. 1 lap through in 81 seconds.
That's just cruising pace for those 2 young ladies. I'm sure they have more to do this evening. They're just looking to run to get the 1 and 2 finish and have a little bit more in the tank for later on this evening.
We had 7 entries. We started with 6, and it's the Mount Carmel pair in front, the Dominican pair behind them, the Chappelle pair behind them. Everybody's just kind of running in tandem almost right now. Junius and Quintana leading the way, with Hawes and Patron right behind. But there's clear separation between 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6 as we head towards the halfway point of this 1,600 meter.
Looks like the wind's died down a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go through in about 2:42, Lenny. They're just cruising right along.
Yeah. So some greater separation here as we head to the 1,000-meter mark in about 3:26. And nobody's getting pushed to the record here, and you know, I know Catalina Reichert's been dealing with injuries. She set the meet record in this a year ago at 5:09:32. I don't think that is in jeopardy this evening.
Not today. Not today.
Terrific runners.
Yeah,
state champion in cross country this year. And
sure. Gatorade runner of the year.
Yeah, and
this year.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's the bell.
The injury bug just unfortunately got her this year, and hopefully she's only a junior, right? So hopefully she can bounce back and have a strong senior year. That's the one thing I like about Stella's race model. She's really patient. She doesn't try to get out too fast and too hard. She kind of surveys the landscape, and with about 600 meters to go, she really kicks it into overdrive there. I like the way she runs.
And so we head towards the finish here. Stella Junius will be a district champion. Powering it down a little bit there, 5:23 and change. We'll wait for the official time. 5:23:33 for Junius, 5:24:72 for Quintana. So 18 big points right there for Mount Carmel.
Solid run from those two young ladies.
And here come Hawes and Nakhan to advance to the regional meet as well. And I'm sorry, Hawes and Patron.
Yeah, we'll see Stella and Lucy in that 3,200 meter race later tonight. So that was real smart decision on their part, and I'm sure Coach Kaiser talked to them about it. Just do what you have to do. Finish 1-2, get us those first and second place points, and get ready for that 3,200 in about an hour or so.
Patron across at 5:56.21 to finish third. Hawes 5:58.20 finishes fourth. So the first of the two Chappelle runners will cross, and we get set up for the boys 1,600. And we talk about we talked about it earlier with the 4x8, and we'll see it again in the 3,200 later on with just that rivalry between Jesuit and Brother Martin on the distance side. And you look, they've got 4 of the top 5 times coming into this event. Michael Vokey seems like he should be like a sophomore in college right now.
I think he's he may have gotten.
Did he get a COVID year?
He got a COVID year.
Yeah, he got a COVID year like no one else in high school did.
Yeah, right? He's been around seemingly forever.
Vokey has the best time, 4:13.33. Braden Dunn of Brother Martin, 4:26.59. Connor Fanberg of Jesuit, 4:27.63. Gage Baldessero of Holy Cross kind of breaking up the party there. He's got the 4th best time, 4:28.14. Jack Collins of Brother Martin, 5th, 4:34.34. And then it's about a 15-second gap back to the runners from Carr, Curtis, Rummel, and the other Holy Cross entry in the field. So you would think, again, things are not run on paper, but based on paper, the top 4 are going to come from there. And, positioning how this plays out could play a big part if this is truly going to be Jesuit versus Curtis down on the wire for a district championship, as it's, starting to play itself out to be. This, Jesuit might need 18 points right here.
Jesuit is going to need to get first and second here out of this race if they want to hold off Curtis, because Curtis is coming. We've got some more sprinting events that are ahead of us. Certainly the 4x1 relay where they're going to be strong. I see a little. I see Gage Baldessero maybe breaking up some things here.
Mm-hmm.
Gage is another one of those kids I've known a long time. His brother is his coach, Blake, former Holy Cross runner, ran at LSU. I've known them and their family a long, long time. So look, Holy Cross has struggled a little bit this evening. Look for a little bounce back race out of the Tigers here right now.
All right, as we head into this, Jesuit with a slight lead over Curtis, 89-83. Brother Martin has moved up to third. They've been at third, but the margin is kind of tightening up a little bit there with 62 points. So maybe a chance for Brother Martin to try to close the gap some on Curtis here in this event. As we get set for the boys, 1,600 meters. The meet record, 4:16.10, which Vokey's time is better than that this year.
Yeah.
4:16.10. But here's the thing. The record is 42 years old. My high school classmate at Archbishop Rummel, Keith Iveen, who was, maybe the greatest distance runner that has come out of Louisiana ever. And those marks still stand 42 years later.
That's incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
Considering the distance runners that we are producing here in our state over the last 5 to 6 to 7 years, that's really impressive.
Yeah. Those marks are still standing. Absolutely.
Yeah. I go back to like a Devin Keith who was at Curtis about a decade ago, to, like you said, Michael Vokey and some of those others that have come along recently.
Yeah, we'll see Brady Mullen later tonight in the 3,200, because Keith Iveen still has the 3,200 record as well. And Brady Mullen's got a great chance of taking that down later on this evening. All right, so we'll head past the grandstand for the first time, and it's like Brother Martin running 1:3 at the moment.
These guys taking it out pretty conservatively right now.
First lap is going to be in the neighborhood of 68 seconds.
We'll look for a little movement here on lap 2, I would have to guess.
We start to see some movement there up in that front pack, and that, I believe that's Baldessaro.
Baldessaro moving into third, yeah.
Right. Is that the other Jesuit runner moving up there as well, up into the top 5? Carr back in 6 now. So you've got that solid pack of 6 in front. The 5 we mentioned, and then that's Come On Washington from Carr, I believe, back in 6th place at this point.
I'm really curious to see what happens in this third lap. That's the tough one in the 1600. All the distance coaches will tell you, you really have to focus. You have to bear down in that third lap. It gets tough. We'll see what happens here.
It's about a 68-second first lap. It's going to be about the same pace for lap 2 as they'll cross the line in 2:15 and change. So the third round of a pro golf tournament is moving day. Is this is this moving lap now for the front of the pack?
Somebody's going to have to make a move here soon if they want to win this thing.
It has been a fairly conservative pace, and that would tend to play in favor of those who are in front.
Those top 3 are starting to separate now, Lenny.
Get a little separation now as they 1,000 meters in about 2:49 and change. And again, we remind you, every event that we're showing you tonight, the top 4 advance to next week's regional meet in Thibodaux.
Vokey
we're going to see a lead change, Vokey to the lead.
I think the last thing any of these guys want to do, get in a foot race with him with about 150 meters to go.
Right. 3:22 and change as he crossed the line for 1,200 meters.
Brother Martin's number 2 coming on Baldessaro's heels.
It's Fanberg, the Jesuit, back in 5th. And now Vokey's going to stretch it out. He is putting on the accelerator and drawing clear by about 10 meters on the backstretch and going for more.
It's almost like he was just toying with those guys.
Right, just laying back and said, you know what?
Meters,
it is time to run.
Let's see what happens here now for second place. This should get interesting. Let's see who's got a kick with 100 meters to go to finish runner-up. Baldessaro coming here on the outside.
Vokey was second to his senior teammate Jack DeRoche a year ago, but he will be a district champion this time around in a running time of 4:23 and change. We will wait for the official time.
Did I tell you I had a feeling about Baldessaro?
Ran a big race there.
Big race for him. Big race for him.
Vokey 4:23.51, Baldessaro 4:26.27, Collins 4:27.03. What a job for him. Done 4:29.14, just edging out Connor Fanberg for the 4th spot in the regional. As the rest of the runners will finish up here, but terrific race among the front of that pack there. What a move on the backstretch by Michael Vokey to just draw clear.
Again, super smart on his part. I haven't looked at the heat sheet closely enough. I'm not sure if he's coming back later in the 800. Doesn't look like that he is. But, hey, he did what he had to do to win. Conserving energy. I think he might even be a leg on their 4x4, Lenny, to be honest with you.
He could certainly do that. That's the thing with these, with some of these guys. They can, they can back up to, especially with what you saw there, the way he, the way he, was able to draw clear from the field.
He's got really good foot speed. He's
he's listed among their regulars in the 4x4. Yeah. So
big kid, long strider. He's a veteran. That's what you expect out of a senior who's been a champion. So great job by him.
All right, so while we wait for the blocks to get in place for the 4x100 meter relays, another exciting event, gives us a chance to remind you that today's coverage on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by Rhino Shield Mid-South. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Rhino Shield resists chipping, cracking, flaking, or peeling, and is backed by a 25-year warranty. Get your free estimate by visiting rhinoshieldmidsouth.com or by calling 1-833-233-7181. I don't know if Kevin Mamahad ever ran track. I think he was too busy throwing a baseball at that point in the spring. But I tell you what, if they would have had a distance throw of some kind, other than say the javelin or whatever, he could have probably won that in spades.
Is that
he
right?
could throw a golf ball over 100 yards in the air.
Oh my! Yeah. Somebody should have put a javelin in his hand. Back in the day, right?
Absolutely, yeah, no doubt about it.
And that's what you see a lot of times is you get these kids who have had enough of baseball but still want to compete. So coaches throw a javelin in their hand. The technique is obviously slightly different, but they've got that arm strength and.
Well, we were talking before we came on air this evening about the story of Jack LaRiviere, the former Jesuit quarterback,
That's right.
who picked up a javelin. It's the spring of his senior year, and ended up having the second longest throw in the country for a high school thrower, and ended up with a track scholarship to LSU.
Amazing.
It happens. I mean, you never know sometimes with athletes. It's why you see coaches all the time encourage athletes, try everything, because you never know what it is that's going to be what you're best at.
Particularly the sport of track and field. It's and we all know this as coaches. A lot of times, this is a secondary sport for some of these kids. Sometimes it's even their third sport. But the benefits that you get from this sport as it translates to football or to basketball or to soccer, I think are exponential. And I wish more kids were multi-sport athletes and not so specialized these days.
No doubt. Okay, now the only thing that is missing from the field events is the girls' pole vault in terms of scoring. So while we get ready for the 4x1s, let's update you on the team scores. It is tightened up on the girls' side. Mount Carmel 68, Dominican 64.
Oh, wow.
John Curtis 40, Edna Carr 37, Archbishop Chappelle 19. On the boys' side, Jesuit has stretched things out a little bit. They've got an 18-point lead on John Curtis, 101-83. Brother Martin, we mentioned they could tighten that gap a little bit, especially in the 1600 on Curtis, and they have. They're now third with just 72 points, only 11 behind the Patriots. Carr back and forth, 34. Then at Drummel, 31. Holy Cross, 26. St. Aug, 22. And as you look at the schedule from this point forward, we have 7 events left on either side. We mentioned the one event still waiting to be scored is the girls' pole vault. So that's 8 events on the girls' side, 7 on the boys' side remaining.
And if I had to guess, Mount Carmel is probably 1-2 in that event. They've got some really, really outstanding vaulters.
Yeah. Again, they're going to excel in the field events, and you've still got the 3,200 coming out there. We saw them just dominate the 1,600. That's another 18 points likely coming there. As off we go in the girls 4x1 from inside to outside. It's Chappelle, Curtis, Carr, Dominican, Mount Carmel. Carr comes in with the best time at 50.81, and it looks like actually Dominican may have beaten them on the first handoff.
Pretty clean exchanges out of those top teams. That's Dominican out front, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Let's look at the second exchange.
Good
Exchange.
Really
that was
good.
very close, though, between Dominican and Carr as they make the turn together here. And that's
Carr's
Curtis
closing.
in third. Let's watch this final exchange. It will be, looks like Dominican may have made it first.
Oh, bad handoff by Carr.
And it looks like Dominican is going to win the district championship in the 4x1. But here comes Carr late. Can they get there? This is going to be right to the wire, but Dominican holds on.
All about that exchange in the third exchange down there, Lenny. That cost them the championship.
50-33. That is almost a second and a half off their best time of the year. That was Kylie Singleton on anchor for Dominican. You talk about you want to be able to close the gap. That's maybe 2 points that you didn't have on your radar right there.
That's
in
100%
those
right.
little all of those little things add up when you're sitting there as a coach trying to figure what is my path to win this meet.
And in a meet this size, that's small, you know, those sorts of swings can be huge.
Has been scored now, but also I believe we now have the girls' pole vault results, which also got added in there as well. And as you mentioned, Mount Carmel went 1-2 there. Dominican picked up third, and that was the only 3 to clear height. So Grace Wallace, Natalie Dwaron, and Josie Sanders, and all seniors advancing to the regionals. Wallace and Dwaron from Mount Carmel. So that is 14 points for Mount Carmel, 4 for Dominican, but Dominican gets 10 big points in the 4x1, and up to the minute now, it is Mount Carmel 84, Dominican 76 on the girls' side, as now we just have 6 events remaining. So here's your lane assignments. Boys 4x100 meter relay. It is Jesuit in lane 2, Archbishop Rummel 3, Holy Cross in 4. John Curtis with the best entering time of 41.61 in lane 5. Edna Carr in 6, St. Augustine in 7, Brother Martin in 8. You see a lot of football talent on display in the 4x1 here for Curtis. Marlon Prout handing it off to Michael Turner, who we've already talked about tonight, to run the straightaway on the backstretch, handing it off to Jason Gabriel and then to Trey Brown.
All your skill guys should be out here. All your wideouts, all your running backs.
Holy Cross is the same way. Finn Martin, Kobe Young, outstanding wide receiver. Kieran Smith and Josh Brown.
One of the best.
All of these teams, really. I mean, that's what you're going to do. You know, this is a lot of your football training is done in track, especially your speed work. It becomes a part of it.
That's how those kids get fast and can dominate on the football field on Friday nights. One of the best 4x1s I've ever seen, Lenny. I was down at the Sugar Bowl meet. I was judging the second exchange. The second exchange. Leonard Fournette was their number 2 at St. Aug at the time. He came by me, I could hear him running. That's how fast he was.
As good a talent as has come through this city in many, many years. I mean, you look at some of the players that have come out of here. The late Joe McKnight back in the mid 2000s at John Curtis, and Leonard, of course, still making a salary in the NFL, and getting it done.
Newman's own Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, no doubt,
yeah.
No doubt. So many guys, especially with those skill positions. You get out into, you get out into some of the other areas. Rummel, of course, like Jamar Chase, and then you got Justin Jefferson. So it's so many of these guys have come out of the Metro New Orleans area, and even guys like Ed Reed, but there's the skill position talent that comes out of this area. Their work in the spring is a lot of it is spent on the track.
I was going to say all track guys too, Lenny. All track guys. Looks like we got white flags around the track, waiting on the timer now.
By the way, we were talking about some of the delays. We've gotten back on schedule. So
there we go.
Yeah, so there's time built in to make sure you account for that.
I knew the folks down there at Crescent City Timing would right the ship, as they say. The exchange zones for the 4x1 relay, for those of you interested, gold triangle to gold triangle, and it's a 30-meter zone. Now they changed the rule. I think it was a couple of years ago, 2, 3, maybe 3 years ago, where you can use 30 meters instead of the 20 meters, where it's
so
three triangles.
They remark some of this with tape, I guess, because obviously this is an older surface here that hasn't been repainted.
No, not necessarily. So the international, the small triangle, you can start from there, and before you had to get the baton in between the 2 big triangles. Well, now you can use the whole 30-meter zone to get the baton around the track. And it's the baton that needs to be in the exchange zone, not the runner. We had that happen at our meet last night. Our second leg was actually out of the exchange zone, but the baton was still in the zone. So we had a little talking to after that race, Lenny. Not quite sure what the delay is here. Now the tape that the guys are using, they're putting down for they call it their go marks. So when their incoming runner hits that piece of tape or that box that he creates, that's when it tells that outgoing runner, let's get moving, let's get ready to make that exchange.
All right, so runners in the blocks. And here we go. Jesuit, Rummel, Holy Cross, Curtis, Carr, St. Aug, and Brother Martin inside to out. First handoff. Looks like it went to Carr.
Clean exchanges all the way around.
Some ground being made up by John Curtis here on lane exchange number 2. And they are neck and neck, and it looks like the Patriots may have even taken the lead here.
Looks like it, Lenny.
Or it's Holy Cross. I'm sorry, Holy Cross in lane 4. They will make the first handoff, I believe. No, Curtis. That is Curtis. John Curtis is pulling away. Carr trying to close the gap. But it's going to be Curtis to win the 4x1 with Holy Cross in third. 41.63. Just 0.24 of a second off Holy Cross's record of a year ago.
Again, kudos to those 3 finishers, but I'll give a little shout out to our friends over there at Jesuit who had the slowest seat time going into that race, and they're going on to the regional meet.
They got fourth, and again, that's those 4 points. You talk about when you're in the battle for the team championship. Yeah, Curtis got the 10, but they only gained 6 points in that.
That's right. Every little bit counts.
All right, so next on the track will be the girls and boys 400-meter dash. They will run this in 2 sections based on the number of entries. There were here I'm calling Heat 2, so maybe they're merging this into 1.
They may be merging this into 1, or you may have scratches out of from Curtis and Chappelle in that first heat.
Yeah, it looks like that's what happened. We're going to run with 9, and Evan Moeller from Curtis is going to run in lane 1. Chelsea Cantero of Chappelle is out, and so we'll have a 9 runner single heat here in the girls 400. It'll be Evan Moeller from Curtis in 1, Ellie Vodanovich from Mount Carmel in 2, Marley Hayes Carr in 3, Sydney Salas from Mount Carmel in 4. Olivia Bordes, she's everywhere it seems like, from Dominican has the best time in the 400 at 1 minute and 31 seconds, 31 100ths of a second. That is just ahead of Johanna McGinnis of John Curtis, 1 minute and 45 100ths of a second. Lane 7 will be Amari Ezeb of Carr. Lane 8, Madigan Lee of Dominican. And lane 9, Iva Smith of Chappelle. Maybe Ava, I'm sorry.
Bordes trying to pull off a little sprint double here, having finished runner-up in the 100 a little bit earlier.
Seeing more of that now, the 100 and the 400 instead of the 100 to 200 or the 200 to 400. Well, again, 200 to 400, that's what Michael Johnson made popular.
200 and 400. Before they changed the order of events, running the 4 and the 2 were pretty difficult. You only had the 300 hurdles in between those events, so that was tough to do. I've only seen it done successfully, really successfully, a handful of times at the high school level. But now you have a little bit more time. There's an added event in between the 4 and the 2. I think a lot of us high school coaches, we coach the 400 because we think that if you can run the 4, you can run the 1, you can run the 2. You have to be versatile. If you just focus on 100-meter training and you need a 400-meter runner, well, you might be out of luck.
Got to be able to run turns.
You can run. It's easier to run down than it is to run up.
And the other thing is, the more people you have ready to run the 400, that increases your pool for that relay.
That's right. That's right. Our philosophy in our program is everybody runs the 4. They may not like it, but everybody runs the 4.
All right, so we get set with, again, this full field of 9 across the track. Let's see many events like this. And away we go. It's looking like, to no surprise, it's going to be Bordes and McGinnis cutting off that stagger, and they are 1-2 down the middle of the track.
Both of those girls are looking strong right now. Let's see what it comes down to with about 150, 125 meters to go. Bordes is pulling away.
Yeah, Bordes has opened up about a 3-meter lead on McGinnis. Can she hold it? Olivia Bordes looking to get another Big Ten points here for Dominican. Joanna McGinnis trying to close the gap, but she's not going to do so. It is Bordes who wins the district title.
Sub 60 there for Bordes.
59-24.
That's a great race out of her. I'm not so sure if I've seen her run sub 60 this year.
McGinnis ran 59-72, so both under a minute. Salas from Mount Carmel third. Ezeb from Carr is fourth. The four of them will advance to the regional meet. Let's see what that does to the team scoring. We'll wait for it to update. It hasn't done so yet. Now it has. Mount Carmel's lead over Dominican now just 5 points, 89-84.
Ooh, gonna get interesting. That was a great race by Bordes. She took it out hard for the first 50 or 60 meters, stayed relaxed on the backstretch, and really hammered it home with 150 meters to go. That's what you love to see out of your quarter milers.
So we get ready for the boys 400. And here's the scores on the boys side with, again, we are now just, by the way, there's now just 4 events left on the girls side, and that's, the spread is just 5 points. There's 5 events left on the boys' side right now. The spread is 12 points for Jesuit over John Curtis, 105-93, with Brother Martin back in third, 72.
It might come down to that 4x4, Lenny. Like
You'd love it on both sides. You'd love to see that on both sides. Now, you got to remember in this, let's be fair, there's 4 events left, and if you're a handicapper, Mount Carmel's getting 18 points in the 3,200.
No doubt.
So if you're Dominican, you've got to be able to overcome that. Now, there's a chance that you run third and fourth and you're getting 10 points back and it's only an 8-point swing, but still, that means you've got to come up with 13 more points to be able to tie in the other 3 events, which are the 300-meter hurdles.
Which it looks like Carr's going to go 1-2 in based on their seed times.
Right. The 800 meters, which those 2 teams are effectively even if you look at how it lays out.
Anybody's game there.
I say there's actually there are 5 events left. It's 5 events left. Not 4. You got the 200-meter dash, the 3,200, where again they've got a great shot there, and of course the 4x4, which they are seeded 1-2 based on time. So
they snuck that 800-meter race down there towards the end of the meet nowadays.
Yes. All right. So here we go. This is section 1 of the boys 400-meter. It's Nakai Brown of Holy Cross, Dominic Pillow of Rummel, Oliver Mitchell of Carr, Jabari Monday of Holy Cross running in this first section. We will get ready for the second section and kind of handicap how that shakes out. And it's a chance for Curtis to make up some ground on Jesuit here, because Jesuit has just 1 runner in the race in Connor LaCour. Curtis has 2 of the 2 of the 5 fastest times in the race, with King Taylor the fastest and Anthony Johnson in third. This first section comes down the stretch, and it's going to be Oliver Mitchell of Edna Carr pushing towards the finish in a time of 54 and change. That's a good 2 seconds off of his mark that he came in with, a 56.48.
Won't be fast
54.37 likely is not going to be fast enough to score for his team.
But if that young man got himself a PR in his last race of the season, good for him.
No doubt. All right, so again, section 2 here. The fastest time belongs to King Taylor of Curtis, 48.17. Next up is Kaiser Dunbar of St. Aug, 48.34. Followed by Cameron Hardy of Carr at 49.42. Connor Racour of Jesuit, 49.82. And Anthony Johnson of Jesuit, 51.07. So the focus, as always, on the center of the track, lanes 3 through 7. And an opportunity here for Curtis to close the gap. And you talk about how this plays out. We talked about it on the girls' side. Jesuit is obviously in a great position to pick up some significant points on Curtis in the 3,200, where we're off and running.
Most definitely.
Curtis does have a couple of entries in the race, but
they do. But we know that Jesuit is going to get their points in
there.
The 32.
And you look, by the way, all the way there at LaCour in lane 7, getting it done.
They're
cutting off the stagger.
Coach Horvath's looking for LaCour to maybe squeak out a point or two. But the way he's racing right now, heck, he might finish in that top 4.
It's very possible.
He's looking great down the stretch.
He's sitting in 3rd right now, as this is a battle down the lane between King Taylor of Curtis and to his left Cameron Hardy of Carr, I believe. But it's going to be King Taylor to cross the line first in a season best for him, 47.64, just off of the record that Hardy set to win this race a year ago, 47.52.
Solid race, really solid race. Again, just as Bordes did on the girls' side, they got out, they pushed hard for the first 50, 60 meters. They stayed relaxed on the backstretch, and they really hammered it home with 150 to go. Great race out of those 3 guys that went 1, 2, 3 there. And again, as you mentioned before, Jesuit got some points that they probably weren't expecting to stave off that run that Curtis is bound to give them.
Mm-hmm. Still waiting on those. So Taylor 47.64, Hardy second 48.55, LaCour third in 49.71, Anthony Johnson of Curtis fourth in 51.20. So Curtis sends 2 on to the regionals and will pick up 14 points to Jesuit 6, so they gain 8 points there in the 400. And now you look at the team scores, and it's just a 4-point spread. Jesuit 111, John Curtis 107. Just a 5-point spread on the girls' side. Mount Carmel 89, Dominican 84. As we are now down to 5 events on each side.
Looking at the entries, it's really tough for Curtis here in this situation, not having any 300 hurdlers.
Jesuit just has 1 in Satanovich. Call his name again.
There's Drago again.
There he is. This is. We'll get ready for the girls' 300 hurdles. It'll take a minute. They got to get all the hurdles back in place here, but so we'll have a little bit of a break in the action. But it's Layla Johnson and Donjane Madison who are 1-2 in terms of time in this event. And then you look at Mount Carmel and Dominican, who are battling for the team title right now, and they've each got 2. And that's a pretty even battle right there in terms of, those 1 or 2 points in this, but between those 4 runners, depending on how this lays out, maybe if one team can go 3-4 and the other goes 5-6, that becomes the difference of, potentially 7 points here, as opposed to maybe maybe if you split the points somehow.
Yeah. You gotta hope that if you're Dominican, you can, like you said, come out 3-4 in this race and really start putting the squeeze on Mount Carmel.
We're going to take a quick break while we wait for all of the hurdles to get in place. They're just about done, and then we'll get ready to get you set for the 300 hurdles, girls first, then boys. So the 300 is one of those events, Mark, that's kind of new to the high school game. Was added, the intermediate hurdles is not something that was always run at the high school level, and it's not even run at the same distance that it's run at the collegiate or international level, which is run at 400 meters. So it becomes one of those distances. You see a lot of runners competing in both hurdles events.
Yes.
And what is your strategy in terms of trying to identify those runners who can become, intermediate hurdlers here?
Well, you have to be a good quarter miler. That's first and foremost. If you can't handle the distance, then you're not going to be able to handle the race. And then hurdles is no one steps onto a field or a playground and automatically knows how to hurdle. That's one of those learned skills that takes time and patience. So if you get a kid who's tough enough mentally, physically to run the quarter, and then they've got the skill, the coordination to learn how to hurdle, then that's a great combination. I was part of that process in bringing the 300 hurdles to the state of Louisiana when I first started coaching here back in 02, 03. That wasn't yet an event, and there was a proposal to the LHSAA that I was able to put my name on and sign off on it that got the 300 hurdles into the state meet. So it's a great race. I love the race. It as I mentioned, it's got a little bit of everything in terms of an athlete. You have to have endurance. You have to have speed. You have to have coordination. It might be my hat's off to those folks who run the Open 4 and the 800. This is tough. This is tough.
This will be a field of 8. The winner a year ago was Anila Green of Edna Carr, 49-14. And second, third, and fourth from a year ago are all back. Madison of Carr was second. Harper Griffin of Dominican was third. Sophie Stein of Mount Carmel was fourth, and they're all running here in this race.
And the thing about this race is, in terms of hurdles, they've got to be able to use both legs as their lead leg. They have to feel comfortable because not every time it's going to be the same leg. So that's something that is taught. Oh, misfire on the start. Come on, John.
All right, so a field of 8. 2 each from Chappelle, Carr, Mount Carmel, and Dominican. Car runners in lane 5 and 6. Watch when they go over the hurdles. That kind of tells you in these races where the leaders are. And the car runners go over the first hurdle together. And a huge lead.
You really
coming around the turn here. And that is Johnson, who has stretched this out in a big way. Her time was 4 seconds ahead of everybody else, and she's showing why right now. Stumbled a little bit over that one, but still 2 hurdles to go, and she's got a very big lead. Much better there. And the Carr Cougars are going to go 1-2, as you thought they might, in this race. And
there's Dominican going 3-5.
Mount Carmel will go 4-6. So it was Johnson winning, Madison second, just ahead of Harper Griffin of Dominican, Layla Hong of Mount Carmel fourth, Mary Pilier of Dominican fifth, and Sophie Stein of Mount Carmel sixth. So that tightens things up even more. We'll wait for those scores to go in, but that is it's getting just a bit tighter now.
I love watching those really good hurdlers because you you see them, they look like they're just running over the hurdle or not jumping over the hurdle. It's really it's really a pretty thing to watch on the track.
So they'll make the adjustments on the hurdles for the boys. A year ago, we saw Justin Horn from John Curtis sweep the hurdles.
He was one of the best.
He was outstanding. Texas Tech signee for football and track. And he was outstanding. And now you look at Caleb Curry from Archbishop Rummel, who's got a chance to get the sweep right here. He has easily the best time in this event at 38.18. It's more than 2 seconds ahead of the second fastest seed time from Jaden Hunter of Endicott, 40.79. Curry was third in this event a year ago. Dylan Drouet of Brother Martin was fifth in this event a year ago. He has the third fastest time coming in. So it'll be Luke Davis from Holy Cross in lane 1, Dorian Henry from Rummel in 2, Drago Satanovic of Jesuit in 3, Dylan Drouet of Brother Martin in 4, Caleb Curry of Rummel in 5, Jaden Hunter of Carr in 6, Jeroy Jackson from St. Augustine in lane 7, Thomas McGriff of Holy Cross in 8, Cole Carter from Brother Martin on the outside in lane 9. The blocks. And off we go. Curry easily gets to the initial hurdle first, and he has built up an early lead here.
And he's just running over those things, right, Lenny.
Showing you why he is the best in this district in the hurdles, going for the sweep. And he's got a big lead as he heads to the home stretch. Just like Justin Horn a year ago, it will be a hurdle sweep for Archbishop Rummel senior Caleb Curry. It is Jalen Hunter from Endicott in second. 38.23 the time for Curry. Just 5/100ths of a second off his season best. Hunter 39.78 in second. Satanovic gets up for third in 43.53, and that's big points for Jesuit there. 6 points when he was seated, I believe, fifth in the race. Check that. Drouet is third. Drouet is third. I'm sorry. Or actually, Jackson is third. They're coming in out of order. Jackson third, Drouet fourth. I think Satanovic was actually fifth. My apologies there, but still, getting those points even then, that's you need all of those. Remember, Curtis had no one in the race, so Jesuit will add on to its lead. As we are now down to 4 events remaining, and a chance to remind you now that today's coverage of Crescent City Sports is brought to you by Gibbs Construction. Leader in the construction industry in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast for more than 45 years, transforming dreams, visions, and plans into reality. Gibbs Construction. Still waiting on the update of the team scores after the 2 intermediate hurdle races. Those have not gone in yet. So next up on the track is going to be the girls' 800-meter run. 10 are entered, and I think this is probably the most critical race for Dominican. If they are going to overtake Mount Carmel for a district title, they have got to get some points here.
If they're going
to get more points than Mount Carmel. They are seeded 3rd and 5th in this race with Caitlin Wismar and Jalen Douglas. Mount Carmel is seeded 2nd and 4th with Anna Joubert and Sabrina Chittenden. London Parker of Curtis has the fastest time in the district, 2:26.18.
She's the clear-cut top 800-meter runner here tonight. But you're right. I mean, if Dominican is going to give themselves a chance at all, they've got to score some points ahead of Mount Carmel here in this race. Yeah, they've got to get. When
you look at the times, there's 2 seconds between Joubert and Wismar. There is 7/100ths of a second between Chittenden and Douglas. So if you separate them into just those two groups of runners right there, that's, again, if Dominican can finish ahead of Mount Carmel in those spots and say, times hold and they finish second and fourth and Mount Carmel finishes third and fifth, that's big. Or better, if you could get to second and third, now that's even bigger.
That's huge. That is huge moving forward.
Two intermediate hurdles, again, they still have not been scored. So next on the track, again, will be the two 800-meter events. So at this point, you get down to the last 4 or 5 events in the meet. As a coach, obviously you're doing some crunching of numbers, but what are you telling your remaining runners at this point? Is there anything new that you're trying to implore out there with them, or basically it's at this point it's just run your race, do what you're prepared to do the entire year?
It certainly depends on the situation, Lenny, but I think you're just telling your kids, what has to happen. They don't. They're not sitting there looking at the live scores, the results coming in.
Maybe they are. Of course, they probably don't have their phones out there. Or their parents are telling them, yeah.
Probably so. But, I'll give you a perfect example. We were in a fight last night with our boys team, and we were down 3 points going into the 200 meters. And we got a 1-4 out of the 200, and that put us ahead. We had the 3,200 meters to go as well, and I told our guys, look, we got to get 1 and 2. If we want to secure this team title, we got to go out and get 1 and 2. I don't care what your times are. Let's go out and secure the win with those finishes, and that's what you're telling your guys and your girls is do what it takes for the team to have success. You're going to have success no matter what. Let's think bigger than ourselves at this point, and let's do what's best for the team.
So much of what you do all year, it's nice to get different wins and places and things like that, but obviously you're competing against yourself. You're seeking that best time. Now it almost becomes head-to-head competition. Now you've got to finish in the top 4 to be able to advance. Now you've got to maybe finish ahead of that runner from another team to get more points than them to help secure that team title or to put yourself in a better position to win a team title, especially in a league like District 9 5A, where the district championship, in this era of power points in so many team sports, the district championship still means the world in this league.
Absolutely, and that's a message that we were trying to get across to our kids this afternoon. Like this is a big deal. I know it's not necessarily a big deal in sports, like you just said, with PowerPoints and whatnot, but for the sport of track and field, and certainly this district that is so tough, district championships mean a lot. Or at least they should anyway.
Oh, no
right,
doubt,
Lenny?
no doubt. They do, and look, I would, there's some who'll tell you districts just they've effectively become scheduling arrangements out there. No, it is much, much different in this league, and you'll see it here as we go down the stretch of just how important this is, and the passion and the noise and the what you're going to see from these young ladies and young men trying to give their best effort as we go into these final events of this District 9 5A championship. So unlike in these distance events, unlike what we see in 100, 200, 400, where the fastest runners are in the center of the track, your fastest runners are on the inside. They're lined up in to out in order of their seed time.
That's right. It's far less important to see what's going on either side of you in these distance races than it is in the sprint events. Now in the 800, where they do a one-turn stagger, it's a little bit different, but still, you've got your faster people generally on the inside. London Parker, as you can see, is down there in lane 1. She doesn't have to brake when she gets to the other side of the curve over there.
Right, she can stay right there on the inside. I don't think you can miss that hair either while we're.
No, it
definitely will definitely stands out among the others. Oh.
Not often you see a false start in the 800.
So here we go. And Parker going to work quickly to get that lead.
She likes to get out fast. She always has. She goes through that first 400 meters and then really kind of hangs on the second 4.
That's Wismar in second. But again, that's Parker having stretched it out already by 7-8 meters. And we're not even at the 200-meter mark yet. See that pack for second, third, fourth, fifth, and that's key right now. You start talking about those points, and 6 for that matter, with Mount Carmel and Dominican, all of those runners back in that second pack, but they're chasing London Parker.
Well, I think they're good with letting her go.
Let her run a race, and everybody else is running a different race back there.
That's right. They all know that it's her race to win. Now let's fight for second, third, and fourth. Oh,
and what that is,
had a runner go down.
Now that is, not sure who that was, but I believe that's still the 2 Dominican runners and the 2 Mount Carmel runners. Wismar in second. The 2 Mount Carmel runners are third, fourth. So that would be Douglas back in fifth right now.
She's really going to have to make a move here if she wants to bust up those 2 Mount Carmel runners.
Closing a little, just kind of biding her time right there. Staying on their heels. But it is all London Parker in the front with, gosh, a 25-meter lead at this point. And Wismar is keeping her distance for second right now. Trying to get her team 8 big points. Then it becomes the contest for third, fourth, and fifth to see how this is going to play out. And Mount Carmel beginning to separate in their own pack for third and fourth.
Starting to make a move there.
It will be Parker all by herself down the lane. The district record, I don't think, is in play right now at 2:19.38, although she's got a chance to beat her season best of 2:26, and now it's getting tight for second, third, and fourth. Can Wismar hold off the 2 Mount Carmel runners? This could be a sprint for second and third. And it looks like that may be Jobert pulling ahead. Now Wismar is going to hold on for third, and it's basically going to go right according to seed.
Just
it is
how it was seeded,
2-4 for Mount Carmel, 3-5 for Dominican. And that will be what? That will be 3 points the edge to Mount Carmel right there, I believe. Or actually 4. Yeah.
That I don't know where we are in the team scores right now, but that's going to make it increasingly more difficult for Dominican with only 3 races to go.
And look, all of those, just about every one of those ran season best. Joubert 2:30.33, Wismar 2:31.56, Chittenden 2:32.29, and Douglas 2:33.82. Those were all season best, and Parker as well, of course, wins it in 2:22.20.
You can't ask for much more than that out of those young ladies. If you come out and you run your best at the end of the season at the district meet, then whatever happens at that point happens at that point. So hats off to those ladies.
No doubt. So Mount Carmel gains 4 points out of that. They went into the race with a 91-89 edge. So it was a 2-point spread. It's now going to be a 6-point spread when we head to the 200 meters. And again, those two schools are pretty even there.
Yeah, that's kind of anybody's game. I know we got this race to talk about first, but that 200 could be exciting coming down the stretch as well.
The boys' side now, Jesuit at 113, John Curtis 107. Jesuit has the two fastest entrants in the 800 in Brant Blanchard and Josh Quintana, 155.75 and 157.02 respectively.
Josh, brother of Lucy Quintana, who we'll see again in the 32.
Yes.
Yep.
Then it's Landon Davis of Holy Cross, seeded third. Gabe Matoyer of Brother Martin, seeded fourth. Kaiser Dunbar of St. Aug, fifth. And then Gage Baldessaro of Holy Cross, where we saw him earlier with a big performance. He is seeded sixth here in the 800. Curtis has two runners in this race, Andrew Jordan, who is seated well down, and Maverick Hassenbowler, who has no previous time in this event. So it's going to be a hard challenge for them to score here, while Jesuit has got a great chance to maybe put this away right here.
Definitely
with 18
on the outside
points.
looking in, yes. I think if those guys run what they're capable of running, this may wind up sealing the deal for
And again,
Jesuit.
we haven't even gotten to the 3,200 where Jesuit's got the top two runners there.
Baldessaro looks like he's the only guy out there coming back from the 1,600. So this is going to be a tough race for him. Dunbar from St. Aug trying to pull the 4.8 double here. Very tough.
It is. So off we go. Jesuit, two runners on the far inside there in the white jerseys. But they're going to have to do some chasing here.
That's Dunbar out to the lead, I believe.
Well, you mentioned what he's a 400 guy, so he can go out there and set a nice pace here.
We'll see what he comes back with on his second lap.
Try to ratchet it down a little bit. Have a little left in the tank for the second leg. The second lap, I should say. St. Aug Jesuit Carr crossing the line 1, 2, 3. Actually, Carr's going to cross the line second. That was 55 that first lap. The district record goes all the way back to 1978. Brian Stark, 154.20. Can somebody kick home faster than that here? With that kind of pace on the front end, I wouldn't rule it out.
Here comes Jesuit on
and
the outside.
I believe that's Blanchard. Going stride for stride now with Dunbar. A great race here as we head to the final turn. And it is Dunbar stretching it back out. Can he take this from the front?
What does he have to finish? Looks like plenty.
We're going to see here.
Looks strong coming down that home stretch.
This is maybe the first big surprise of this meet. Kaiser Dunbar from St. Augustine will kick it home.
That's a fast
Wow,
time.
154 and change. Did he get this record? Wait for the time here. But Dunbar came in with the 5th fastest time in this race.
Maybe that 4.8 double isn't as tough as we thought it was.
What a performance.
That was huge.
Dunbar did not win the 400. He was just behind King Taylor of John Curtis, but he runs 1:54.36. That is 16 100ths off of that 46-year-old district record.
So close. So close. Great race by that young man.
Came in with a season best of 1:59.65. He ran 5.29 seconds better than that. Blanchard, 1:55.01. That was a season best. Davis from Holy Cross third, 1:55.68. What a terrific performance by Kaiser Dunbar from St. Augustine to win the 800. So now we are down to 3 events on both sides. We'll have the girls and boys 200 dash, followed by the 3,200 meter run, followed by the 4x400 meter relay. Still waiting on the team scores to be updated there, I believe.
Looks like they're updated.
Let's see if they've included those yet. It looks like yeah, they are. Let's take a look now. Again, 3 events remaining. Mount Carmel's lead over Dominican is 5 points, 99-94. That's back to Carr, 59, John Curtis, 58, Chappelle, 19. On the boys' side, the lead for Jesuit now 18 over John Curtis, 125-107. Brother Martin, pretty clear third at this point with 80 points. Endicott, 58, Archbishop Rummel, 43, Holy Cross, 41, and St. Augustine, 38 after that, I would say, surprising 10 points coming from Kaiser Dunbar, winning the 800.
For sure. I do think, though, if you're Coach Farrell at Mount Carmel and Coach Horvath at Jesuit, you're feeling pretty good going into these last few events. Again, I know we've said it several times already, but that 3,200, should be
got a chance to close it out right there.
Should slam the door on the competition.
Yeah, there's you look at the 3,200 for Mount Carmel. Quintana and Junius have each run sub 11:30. The 2 Dominican runners have not broken 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So that, it would take something very off schedule for that not to be a 1-2 Mount Carmel finish and 18 points.
And I think regardless of what happens here in this 200, that should seal the deal. And I know what kind of 4x4 Mount Carmel's going to bring to the table.
Yeah,
they're about a 4:15, 4:14.
Yeah, actually 4:12.96 is their fastest, but again, they've got the fastest time coming in. Dominican is the second fastest time coming in. So with 3 events remaining, it would seem we were on track for repeat titleists here in this District 9 5A meet, but you still have to run the races.
I feel pretty confident saying that, but you're right.
You would, we were Steve Kornacki, we'd be, might be making some projections right now. I don't know, but Crescent City Sports is not ready to call the race just yet.
Not just yet.
Yeah. So again, coming up next, it will be the 200. Girls first, again, then boys. We will have 2 sections of each. Assuming there have been no scratches, it appears that's not the case. We are still running in 2 heats on the girls' side. Didn't know that because they had 10 entrants. They got to break it into 2 because there's only 9 lanes on the track. There were 14 entrants, 2 by each school. 2 by each school, both boys and girls, in fact. So that is where we are here as we await the 200, which will, of course, start off to our left at the end of the backstretch. a lot, even though you start to see a light at the end of the tunnel if you're Mount Carmel and Jesuit, there's still a lot to be decided here. One of the things that we talked about earlier is that 3,200 meet record that's been sitting out there for 42 years now. Could Brady Mullen take that down here? He is, again, there have only been 3 runners in the history of Louisiana that have run sub 9 minutes in the 3,200 meters, and he's one of them.
If I were a betting man, which I'm not, I don't know that is going to be the concern going into that race tonight, because of what he has ahead of him. A regional meet next week in 6 to 7 days, and then the state meet, 8 to 10 days after that. That's where he wants to be his best.
But again,
where he wants to run that.
But his fastest time is 40 seconds better than the meet record.
That is true.
So even if he throttles it down significantly, he may still have enough there to get to 9.
He could probably jog that and still break it. You're right about that. So you mentioned you looking forward to other things. The one thing that I would start thinking about, is all right, now where are we as it pertains to regionals next week?
Right. How many people do you have qualified? And that's one thing with Jesuit. We saw them, maybe slip in through the back door in a couple of spots here to grab some 4th spots where maybe they weren't seated in the top 4 in events, and that could play a large part in terms of what you're able to do next week at the regional meet.
That's right. And some decisions you may have to make too. Do you take a certain kid out of the event and maybe put him on a relay, and maybe that relay is going to be run better now, and give yourself a shot at a regional title?
Sure.
As a team. So
talk about what can happen there. Some of the decisions you can make as a coach in terms of strategy.
Well, if you have someone that let's say that you ran him in the open 400. And they qualified, but you see the results from the other districts that are going to be at your region, and you know that he or she is not going to probably get out of that region, even if they run a career best time, because of what is ahead of them is so much better. Then you might take that person off and be like, okay, we're going to put you on the relay instead, because now you give our relay a better shot at qualifying to the state meet, or maybe even getting on the podium, for instance. So those are the types of things that you have to consider with this sort of stuff moving forward. And I'm sure all these coaches are going to go home tonight after this meet, pull up mile split, look at the other 5A districts, and start doing the math and start planning ahead for next week. Unless you're just me and you're half crazy. But that's neither here nor there.
It's all about it is certainly all about,
no doubt,
how you strategize here. And this we mentioned from the very beginning here. This is the first in a 3-step process.
That's right.
And obviously, in this league, it's a very big first, maybe more so than some other leagues out there. But winning a district championship is a nice hang a banner or do something. But again, in District 9 5A. The great history of this league, it means a little bit more than maybe it does in some of these other leagues.
Well, not only that, it also prepares you better for what's ahead. So you're ready mentally for what lies ahead at the regional meet when the competition gets tougher. And then from that, then you're going to Baton Rouge, and you're ready for the rest of the state. And that's what competing in a district like this does. More so than the physical, more so than hanging the banner, but it gets those kids prepared in a lot of different ways for what lies ahead.
So we're in the box now for 200. I think we must have had some scratches. That might have been part of the problem here. We got down to 1 heat.
Trying to get everybody entered into the computer so they're in 1 heat. No doubt. Looks like we got a 1-2 car finish here.
Could be. Abrielle Payne, Caitlin Bird coming down the middle of the track, and the car Cougars are going to go 1-2 into 200. And
Mount Carmel 3, Dominican 4 look like.
yeah. Layla Johnson from Carr runs 25.60.
That's a solid time.
0.8 of a second better than her season best. Abrielle Payne second at 26.54. Then it's Alexandra Oliveri of Mount Carmel finishing third at 26.58.
Looks like we still have 2 heats of the boys 200. However.
Yeah, there were 14 entered, so. Wow. Kobe Young of Holy Cross does not have a seed time, and you know how fast he can run. This is going to be interesting to watch him in lane 3 right here. Because he is a guy, and watch how fast he cuts off the stagger on the inside here. He's got a chance to actually score some points here, even though he's running in this first section.
He could sneak into that top 6 from heat 1.
This is one time you don't want to throttle down right here. He will run through the line in a little bit under 23 seconds there, like 22.8, 22.64 official.
22.64. That's still going to be tough because you've got 5 guys seated at 21 and change.
Yes.
That is moving, my friend.
So now we get to section 2, and they'll get into the blocks, and you watch the middle of the track here. And we talked about Michael Turner from John Curtis. He's got the fastest time at 21.14 as he looks for that double. He ran 10.37 to win the 100. And, we talk a lot about the team championships and stuff, but look, you see some great individual performances along the way. 100, 200 doubles certainly happen, but let's see if Turner can pull it off here. He's got Josh Brown, the second fastest time, to his right. 21.35 to his left. It's Lance Williams who comes in with the third fastest time at 21.57. And there's Kaiser Dunbar from St. Augustine.
I was just going to say, Lenny, look who's over there in lane 7.
Just won the 800 not 20 minutes ago. And he's running in lane 7.
It does look like he's pulled out.
Oh, yeah,
of
he
this
did
race,
scratch.
though.
Okay, that's probably a wise move.
Yeah. At that point, you're not up for a team championship. Let the young man rest and get himself ready for regionals.
Off we go. This looks like a pretty even coming around the turn.
Josh Brown.
Yeah, Josh Brown over in lane 6. He's got the lead here. Oh, Turner's pulled up.
Oh, you hate to see that.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you
and it's
really
Josh Brown, and here comes Lance Williams on the outside, but he can't get there. This is Josh Brown winning the 200 meters for Holy Cross, and you have to feel for Michael Turner, who was going for that double there, and grabbed what looked like his hamstring as he came out of the turn, and will not finish.
You really hate to see that for that young man.
21:23, the winning time for Josh Brown. Not quite the 21:09 that set a meet record a year ago by Rajai Dennis of Edna Carr.
That was a great race by Josh Brown. You saw as he came out of the blocks, he really pushed hard. He drove the first 20 meters out of there and basically used himself as a slingshot coming out of that curve down the home stretch. That was a well executed race by Josh.
Holy Cross gets 10 points. Carr goes second and third.
Yeah, you really got to hope. You really got to hope Michael's okay down there.
I'm sure Brian Kelly is wondering the same thing about now.
100%. I hope Preston's phone isn't blowing up with texts from him right now.
So 2 races to go on either side. Next up will be the 3,200-meter run for the girls. See where scores are in terms of being updated at this point. I know they haven't updated pretty sure they haven't updated on the boys' side yet. No, they have updated with the boys 200. Of course, didn't really change at the top right there. You thought it would, but of course, Curtis does not score because of the injury to Michael Turner. And the points went heavy to Holy Cross and Carr there. In fact, Carr closes the gap on Brother Martin for third place. They are now fourth with 72, just 8 points behind Brother Martin. Now the Crusaders will have a chance to make some hay coming up in the boys 3,200, even though Jesuit's got the 2 best times. Brother Martin's got the 3rd and 4th best time, so on paper you figure they've got a chance to pick up 10 points right here and reestablish that gap and ensure themselves a 3rd place finish.
No doubt, and I know those 2 young men from Brother Martin are happy because they're at worst they're probably 3-4 and they're moving on to the regional meet. But you know as well as I do, they want to get in there and they want to beat one of those Jesuit guys.
No doubt about it.
Coach Dupe and Coach Harrow are going to be coaching them up around the track on these 8 laps coming up. Pride. It is pride,
and
no doubt.
let me tell you, one of the things about, and it applies to a lot of these sports, especially the ones where they're individual sports. These guys are all friends. They run, they cross paths in places other than, the cross country course and the track. They are friends outside of school competitions and settings, and that's a good healthy thing.
Well, and the nice thing that you see as a result of that is when they do compete against one another, the sportsmanship, the respect that they have for each other, and what they put their bodies through in the training process is really remarkable and really admirable. And I know both kids, or all 4 kids and programs that they're involved in, do such a tremendous job of doing that, of communicating that, and really, making sure those kids are not only top runners but top-notch people too.
No doubt about it. What else you seem to find, and I don't know if it's a distance thing or whatever, but not only are they really well-rounded kids, but they're outstanding students.
Yes.
It's they've got opportunities to go to some schools here that maybe you and I wouldn't necessarily have thought about for some of those things. I'm sure some of your young men and ladies get a chance to do those kind of things at Newman as well.
Well, we've got a young lady, in fact, Ava Hartman. She's going to be running next year for MIT.
There you go.
I can't even spell MIT. All right. Right?
There you go. Right.
But
spot you the M and the I, and you got a chance. There you go. Right.
That's right. But you're talking about highly motivated.
And here we go, by the way, in the girls 3,200, and we got about 11 minutes here to chat about things, as they're going to start the pace slow, as you might expect. And again, this is 6 runners, 2 each from Mount Carmel, Dominican Chappelle. Mount Carmel going in with an 8-point lead.
Yeah, this is probably more of a tempo training run for the Mount Carmel girls.
Oh, no doubt. And
they're gonna once again do what they need to do to secure 1st and 2nd place. They're not going to try to go crazy here and break any records or even PR, because it's not necessary. Putting the team ahead of personal needs a lot of times. We talk about it in cross country all the time. As you alluded to earlier, the individual success as the season progresses, PRing, doing your best. But at the end, we always say times don't matter. Your place matters. So let's focus on that. And that's the focus here for these girls is let's do what we have to do to go 1-2, lock it up, bring home the big trophy, and celebrate together as a team.
Right. And, we've done a lot of bowling at Crescent City Sports, and I compare bowling a lot to cross country in that it's the depth of your team that enables you to win. You get just as many points for winning a match at the number 1 position as you do for winning it at the number 6 position in bowling. And it's that depth. You get that separation when, much like in cross country, we talked about Jesuit putting up that perfect score back in the fall of 2022, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the state meet.
Right.
I mean, their 5th best runner is better than everyone else's best runner in that race. And that's the thing. If your 6th best bowler is 70 pins better than somebody else's 6th best bowler, then that whole trickle-down effect adds up to enable you to win.
And when you say it out loud, it's really kind of amazing.
Yeah.
To think about it and just marvel in the accomplishment of that situation.
Right. We'll get to the boys' race, in a little bit. Mount Carmel, again, trying to wrap up a district championship right here. Lucy Quintana, Stella Junius running for Mount Carmel. Grace Schneider, Kara Thomas for Dominican. As this pace, pedestrian would be a good word at this point.
You took the words out of my mouth, Lenny.
I mean, this is, they're going to hit 800 meters at well over 3 minutes. You'll see the clock tick over 3 here. So this will probably be about 3:15 or so when they cross the line. You figure maybe they pick it up a little bit down the stretch.
Maybe the second mile.
They'll cross it in 3:13 and change.
Yeah, I would suspect them, to go out in the first 16, as you said, pedestrian pace, but then maybe look to spice it up a little bit with 800 or so to go. Kind of almost treating it as a workout, with a little bit of speed component there at the end to once again get ready for what lies ahead next week at the regional meet.
And I would imagine, without looking at the results of what has happened in the other 2 district meets, that let's assume for a moment that the 2 Mount Carmel and the 2 Dominican runners advance, that they've got a great chance of going 1, 2, 3, 4 again next week and advancing to the state meet.
I would think so. I don't pay a lot of attention to what happens outside of the New Orleans area when it comes to districts that aren't and classifications that aren't our own. But what lurks ahead for them are the ladies from St. Joseph's when they get to the state meet, who are just outstanding. And that's what they're preparing for, is that face-off come May 4th.
And of course at Bernie Moore Stadium in Baton Rouge.
I heard some rumors that they're going to get a new track stadium. You hear anything about that?
I have not heard that, but it would anything at LSU would not surprise me.
That's right. There was some rumblings during the indoor season that all of the track facilities were going to get a facelift, or maybe even moved for that matter. But again, I don't want to go starting any rumors.
It appears the next thing that's going to happen is going to be a new basketball facility right next, exactly where it ends up. We still don't know exactly. Of course, the PMAC is just adjacent to Bernie Moore Stadium. And I would imagine, too, Bernie Moore's, obviously, it's a dated facility. They've done a lot of things to try to keep it up. Same thing with the field house. But you have to look at the competition out there, what's going on. You got a lot of people. LSU is a dominant track program in the nation for, a decade or more.
Easily.
And they still have success, but they're not nearly what they used to be in that. So it would anything in that front would not surprise me in the least. You're seeing a pack of 3 now on the lead. And it's Quintana, Junius, and I believe that's Schneider right behind them.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And then you drop back just a little bit, and Thomas in 4th. So the pace has picked up slightly as we head now into the second mile. So where Thomas crossed in 6:24, she's got a seed time of 12:49. So that would, she repeats that 6:24, that would be right on pace, and obviously everybody else out in front of her. So it seems unlikely that Quintana and Junius would run back to their sub 11:30 times that they came in with.
Not going through the first mile in what they went through. Not at all. But they're running smart. They're running together. Again, they're using this as training for the next 2 weeks.
All right, so everybody has now completed 4 laps. Change the sign at the finish line to tell them there are now 3 laps to go for the lead pack.
And here's
and
you
see a little separation now. Yep. Quintana and Junius stride for stride. What happens at the end there? I mean, obviously you're doing what's right for the team. One of them gets to win a district championship. Does it become a little bit of a competition when you go down the stretch here in the final 100 meters to see who's going to actually win it?
You know, I guess that depends on them, really. They're probably I don't know them that well. They're probably friends. Junius won the 1600. She may say, you know what, you go ahead and take the 32. They may be those sorts of teammates. I'm not really sure.
And it was close. It was just what?
It was
second
close.
apart. It was Junius in 5:23.33, Quintana 5:24.72. Let's see how it plays out.
Well, I can tell you this. We're looking down there at Coach Kaiser, their cross country and distance coach. He seems pretty content, and I know Casey pretty well. He's never really content, so he's pretty happy with what's going on right now.
Dad taught him well. I can tell.
He most certainly did.
Wade, I hope you're watching tonight. If you're not here in the building, you probably are, but you go back and watch later. The next time I'm in this press box, it'll probably be with you. So.
Job well done, Dad.
Wade and Lee are regulars in Natchitoches every year to watch the state cross-country meet.
You can hear Coach Kaiser from up here where we're at. Tell him to pick the 800 to go. We're going to pick it up a little bit. Focusing on a little speed component here to finish up the race.
And side by side still. Reichert set a meet record in this event a year ago, 11:20.37. Won't get threatened in the least tonight. But a healthy Reichert would just show you the depth of this distance program at Mount Carmel.
Absolutely. They had a great fall season, finishing runner-up to St. Joe's. That was just a buzzsaw of a team that they ran into because Mount Carmel really put together a nice cross-country season this year.
Now you see things getting stretched out a little bit. The bell lap.
Junior's looking to hammer this last lap a little bit here.
Not that there was a lot of doubt, but this 1-2 finish is going to clinch another team district championship for Mount Carmel.
That'll make the folks over there on Milne Boulevard very happy.
Oh, no doubt about it. They won it in 21. They won it in 22. They won it in 23. And a 1-2 finish here in the 1500 for the seniors on this Mount Carmel team is going to sew up a 4th consecutive district championship.
Impressive.
Junius finishes in 11:55.82. Well, she picked up the pace down
certainly did.
That second mile.
You know, and to kind of talk about rivalries, having been a part of it myself, you know, we talked earlier about the Brother Martin Jesuit rivalry.
Mount Carmel Dominican
Mount
is every
Carmel
bit as big.
Dominican rivalry is something fierce, let
No
me
doubt.
tell you.
And doesn't matter what it is, you know. I mean, maybe not tiddlywinks on the 50-yard line, 'cause, you know. Of course, they don't have football. Who knows? We're seeing flag football now become the new thing in girls athletics. Maybe it's coming to Louisiana. I mean, the Saints already are sponsoring a league and trying to get the LHSAA to, you know, sanction it. And maybe we'll be talking about girls football one day very soon. But
I was talking with someone just today about that. I will predict in the next 5 years you're going to see it really hit the scene here in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
A good friend of mine in Florida coaches at the Division III level women's flag football, and it's really grown in popularity in the Southeast.
So the Chappelle runners finishing up. Once they are done, we will get set for the boys' 3,200-meter run. Schneider, by the way, finished third, 12:25.95. Thomas fourth and 13:14.29, both off of their season best, but still a third and fourth place finish, good enough to get you on to the regionals. That's what we talked about. That's right. It's where you finish. Seeing a lot of PRs, but it doesn't have to be a PR to move you on to next week.
All about the placement.
Seeds will basically hold true. Exactly as they were seeded coming in, they will finish in that order here in the girls' 3,200 meters.
Typically, you don't see a whole lot of movement from seeds to finishes in the race in those distance events.
And the longer the event, the truer it is, I guess, those times. That's what made kind of the surprise to me thus far is that, that win by Dunbar in the 800. That's part of it because you see those, the distance events have a tendency to hold true. And, Dunbar came in with the 5th fastest time that was, 4 seconds off the best mark in the district this year. And Dunbar went out and ran 1:54.36, which by a second was the fastest mark in the district this year. So there you go. Strong to the finish. And that's a season best for Macy Lane there.
Good for Macy. Nice job, kid.
So that 1-2 finish again. Mount Carmel came in with an 8-point lead over Dominican. Dominican 3-4, Mount Carmel 1-2. That will stretch the lead beyond 10 and ensure Mount Carmel of the district title as we head into the final event. It's actually 16 points now, 117 to 101 with just the one event remaining. Jesuit has an 18-point lead over John Curtis going into the boys' 3,200-meter run, and you have to figure they will certainly close it out right here.
We'll seal the deal with a district championship right here for the Blue Jays, no doubt. I do want to see what these two young men from Brother Martin do. See if they go in and try to break those guys up.
When you look at the seed times here, we mentioned Mullen 8:47, Brady Monahan 9:19, and then you look at, for Brother Martin, Ian Calico 9:25, Daniel Falk 9:27. It's then you got a minute gap back to fifth. So again, much like we saw with the Mount Carmel runners and the Dominican runners kind of trying to separate themselves early, I think we've got a chance to see that here with the Jesuit and Brother Martin runners in this 3,200 meters.
And again, the question remains, will Brady break the district meet record?
Yeah, it's a 42-year-old mark, which basically means I'm old. Okay, so there you go. There you go. So here we go. Two Jesuit runners in white on the inside, the two Brother Martin runners in gold right next to them, and pretty much no surprise, they're right out there in the front. And might be one of the Holy Cross runners alongside there as well, trying to get into that early pack as we get about 150 meters into this race. See what kind of pace they're setting early here. It's definitely not as pedestrian as what we saw a moment ago on the girls' side.
No, they're going to, knowing that record's in play, I suspect we're going to be a little snappier here. The Brother Martin guys going to settle right in behind Jesuit and see where they are. Going through at about 70.
Yeah. Which would be right at about a 9:20 pace if you stretched it all the way out.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah. Figure they'll pick up the pace as they go. So that first four is basically what we expected to see. Mullen, Monahan. Falk is actually in front of Calico at this point. As we head towards 700 meters and down the straightaway, trying to complete lap 2. Jesuit pack about 5 meters in front of the Brother Martin pack, and then it's a good
pretty even split
40
from
meters
lap
back
one
to
lap
fifth.
2.
Yep.
They're keeping them close, Brother Martin.
They're trying to pick it up a little bit there on the back stretches. Mullen and Monahan hit 1,000 meters in just slightly under 3 minutes.
I know the 3,200 isn't the greatest of spectator events, but if you have a true appreciation for what these guys are doing, it really becomes fun to watch.
Yeah, it does, and it is. We're seeing just how good these two distance programs are right now, as they have, pardon the pun, they have distanced themselves from the rest of this field. They are 100 meters ahead of fifth. That pack of four, we are 1,300 meters into this race.
Well, you're talking about four of the best guys in the state of Louisiana right now.
And remember this, if they could enter more, they would probably all be up there as well. You're limited to 2 entries per event.
That's right.
So the reason there's only 4 runners from Jesuit and Brother Martin in that front pack is that's all they can put in.
That's right. Brother Martin doing pretty much what I thought they would do, is go out, be aggressive, stay in the race,
stalk.
When we go through the first 1,600 meters, let's see what happens. And it looks like they're doing just that.
So 1,600 meters in 4:45. That's slowed down some, I guess, or it's not, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's about 9:30 pace.
Mm-hmm.
Which I wonder if these guys, particularly Brady, will employ sort of the same strategy that Junius just did in the girls 32 with 800 to go. Really turn on the juice a little bit.
It's turning to a pack of 3 now a little bit, as Calico has dropped back maybe 5-7 meters into fourth. But it's Brady Mullen, Brady Monahan, Daniel Falk. And Ian Calico just behind, and barring anything totally unfortunate, it's going to be those 4 who advance the regionals. The question is going to be, what order is this going to come in? 2,000 meters in 5:58.
I feel like that pace has picked up just a little bit.
That was about a 73-second lap, but let's see what happens here. They're going to, that lead pack of 3 is about to lap a trail runner here.
The Brother Martin contingency on the other side of the track there, rooting on their guys. Love to see that.
And that separation now between the top 3 and fourth is now, what, about 20 meters. It's all on Falk to break up this Blue Jay party at the front of the pack as we come up to 800 meters to go. .710 for 2,400 meters, and it looks like Mullen just stepped on the gas.
Just stepped on the gas. You're 100% right there, Lenny.
It was like when he crossed the line and passed the clock, he's like, okay, it is now go time.
Let's stop playing around.
And he has opened it up on everybody now, and that lead on the backstretch is a good 20 meters over his teammate.
We'll have a pretty good indication when he comes through here with 400 to go.
I want to see what this time is at 7:42 at 2,600 meters. So he ran that 200 right there in, what, about 32 seconds?
Yeah.
We'll pick off another trailing runner here. And this is all Brady Mullen right now. As we come up to 400 meters to go, now the question becomes simply, does the record fall?
He's going to come through here in about 8:15.
Bell lap, 8:14 and change. He needs to run this last lap in 73 seconds. And he's picking it up again.
I think, barring something catastrophic, I think you're looking at a new district record holder.
Mullen has run this race multiple times sub 9 minutes. And that's not going to happen here this evening. Doesn't need to happen here this evening. But this is still, as you see him kicking in with 200 meters to go, clock will tick towards 9 minutes. You know he won't get there. Look at the kick for Brady Mullen as he hits the final 100.
He knows what's at stake. He knows what's about to happen.
And you see his Jesuit teammates coming out to cheer him on down the lane. A 42-year-old district record has gone by the wayside here tonight.
Wow.
Brady Mullen, 9:15.4 unofficially.
Not to mention the fact that his teammate
Brady
just broke
Monahan
it too.
just broke it as well. 9:25.9 for Monahan. And Daniel Falk will kick home third. In 9:37.91.
You know, you got to give Daniel a lot of credit there. You know, that was off his season best time. But he went out there to intentionally try to break those guys up. So he may have gone out a little bit harder than he's accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, sometimes you just got to go for it.
It's not about running a time. It's about running a race and trying. Sometimes you got to play a little defense as well, if
That's
you
right.
will. It's just
That is right.
So our trail runners will finish up. Calico was fourth in 9:45.38. So as we expected, they will be the four advancers to next week's regional meet. But tip of the cap to Brady Mullen.
9:15. That's pretty. That's pretty impressive.
That's taking, over 42 years. That's taking 13 seconds off a district meet record.
That one might stand another 42 years.
It could. It certainly could.
But the way that these guys are training these days, you just never know. You just never know.
One more runner still to finish up out there. You talk about the record standing 42 years. Mullen is a junior, so
well, there you go.
He might break it next year. Brady Monahan, who also broke the record, but he finished second to his teammate, is a sophomore. So training is one thing, but you got underclassmen who just finished 1-2, both ahead of that record time. So.
That's right.
All right, so we are now down to the 4x400 relay.
Your favorite race on the track?
No, absolutely. This is like no matter what the scenario, this always brings a tremendous amount of excitement to the building. And while again the team race is over, Mount Carmel 117, Dominican 101. On the girls' side. On the boys' side, Jesuit 143, John Curtis 107. Basically, at this point, going to see if much can change here in terms of the standings. You're looking at, other than 5th and 6th, with Holy Cross and Rummel 5 points apart, everybody's got at least a 10-point spread across the board. So there is not much to be decided in terms of placing here. But still, this is... there's a reason this is the last race of every meet, right? It brings a tremendous amount of excitement out there.
It certainly does. And I know for us at Newman, it's one of those things that the kids will start asking me as early as August, September, hey, who's going to be on the 4x4 this year? I'm like, well, I don't really know that yet because right now my brain is in cross-country mode, but we'll see. But that's the badge of honor that I think comes with this race is, this is the penultimate. This is the exclamation point on the meet, and everybody wants to be a part of it.
Right. At this point, everything else is done. Everybody is doing nothing but watching at this point, other than the 4 relay runners on your team. So, Mount Carmel, Dominican, Chappelle have entries in here. John Curtis does not. So it'll be 4 teams. Running in this relay. And then all 7 boys teams will send out entries in the 4x4.
The old school guys will still call it the mile relay.
Yep. Yeah. And you could see some of the excitement building on the infield as this gets ready to start as well. Getting ready for a start, and we held things up.
We had someone at the wrong line. Certainly will.
You have that many lines out there, and again, it's.
Well, sometimes down there it's hard to differentiate the color of those lines too. They're kind of faded.
Yep.
Sometimes it looks like a black line. Sometimes it looks like a blue line. But here we go. Looks like we're ready to start.
And away we go. It is Carr in lane 3, Mount Carmel in 4, Dominican in 5, Chappelle in 6. Dominican is quickly going to cut off that stagger with Chappelle. Carr actually does the same with Mount Carmel. So at this point, they're 4 across the track right now. It's still this turn to run, and now Mount Carmel's going to take a bit of a lead as we head into the stretch run of the first leg. You hear the crowd getting into it. Cubs trying to stretch it out early here. They will easily make the first handoff.
3-turn stagger race, so they'll break on the other side of this curve. So then everybody's running in lane 1. I always find it interesting how coaches set their lineups for this race. Where do they put their fastest kid? Where do they put their toughest kid?
All part of the strategy,
All
right?
part of it.
coming up to the second exchange. It remains Mount Carmel, followed by Dominican. Then it will be Carr and Chappelle. Mount Carmel has really stretched it out here at the start of the third leg. That's a good 40 meters and growing on the backstretch right now. The lead for Mount Carmel. Came in with a 9-second edge in terms of seed times.
So Mount Carmel we've had some pretty good 4x4 relays this year at the regular season meets we've attended. Seems like Mount Carmel got us every single time we faced them. They've got a good squad.
They set a district record in this event a year ago, 4:07.99. Some of those same runners back. And they will make the last exchange right at about 3:09. I don't know if there's a 58-second leg there to break that record, but certainly the best time of their season is in play right now, 4:12.96.
They should run a seasonal best here. I think this young lady usually gives them around a 61, 62 leg, if I'm not mistaken.
Salas was part of their record-setting relay a year ago. As was Alexandra Oliveri.
It'll be close.
The meet record won't happen. Can they get to a season best? I think they may fall just a little bit short here.
A little bit.
But still, an exclamation point on a fourth consecutive district championship.
Nice job by Dominican's anchor. Really closed the gap there.
Right.
Only finished about 15 or 20 meters behind, and there was about
that was easily a season best time for Dominican, a 4:17.87.
Absolutely.
Mount Carmel runs 4:13.77. It will be Carr third and Chappelle fourth. Carr finishes with 4:36.71. That is a season best. What you want to do. You want to be peaking at this time of year. Obviously, there's a lot of, places everything, but still, you get down to it, you want to be in position to provide your best performances when you get to this point of the season.
Yeah, most definitely, Lenny. That's again, I know I've said it before, but that's kind of a mantra we've used over the years. Is we want to be our best at the end of a race, at the end of a season. That's where all that hard work, all that fuel that you've put in the tank over the season, over the year, you're able to use it at just the right time.
All right, so we'll get ready for the boys 4x400 meter. It will be Holy Cross in lane 2. It will be Brother Martin in lane 3. Edna Carr in 4. John Curtis comes in with the fastest time of 3:26.52 in 5. Jesuit has the second fastest time of 3:26.87 in lane 6. St. Augustine in lane 7. Archbishop Rummel in lane 8. It's always interesting to see the structure of these teams and where you using the sprinters. You've got 400 runners, probably your best one. But where are you drawing your pool from? And you look at the Jesuit list of the relay pool, and Michael Vokey is listed second.
They have quite a few distance runners on there for sure. Well, they can handle the distance.
Yep.
It's do they have the foot speed to hang with those sprinters? And like we mentioned before, as we saw in Vokey's race, he's a long strider. He's a big kid. He's got good turnover. Certainly someone who can handle this.
And even you look at Holy Cross, you see Gage Baldessaro in there in the second leg.
We use three distance runners for our 4x4. Two of our 800 guys and one of our milers.
And you look at Rummel out in lane 8, but Caleb Curry, the double hurdles winner tonight, is running the third leg.
Well, if he can run that 300 hurdles, he can run a 400.
He can run a flat 400, no doubt about it. Might run, might run faster if you put a hurdle out there for him or two, but still in all.
And as we mentioned before, that's great training for his 300 hurdle race.
No doubt. So again, not a lot to be decided on the team side at this point, but again, this is talk about going out with a good taste in your mouth. You can walk out of here with a 4x4 title in the last event of the night. That will certainly make things a little more palatable depending on what your finish is. Of course, if you're somebody like Jesuit who's wrapping up a second consecutive Catholic League outdoor track title, then would be the cherry on top.
Well, it gives you bragging rights for the next 365 days.
Yep. Curtis won this event a year ago in 3:21 flat. The district record is 3:19.90. Wow. Going all the way back to 1978. Archbishop Shaw. Might be the oldest record on here.
That is fast.
Here we go. Holy Cross, Brother Martin, Carr, Curtis, Jesuit, St. Aug, and Rummel. From inside to out. Looks like Jesuit is going to make up the stagger on those two outside teams here. Well, Curtis is staying right there on the inside. We'll look to see who makes the handoff first.
That looks like LaCour from earlier today leading off for Jesuit. Getting the stick
make the first
49.
exchange. Curtis in second as they dive into the inside lane. I believe that's St. Aug in third. And Carr in fourth.
Here comes Jesuit with 150 to go, making a move.
Trying to maintain that lead through the halfway point. Curtis closing the gap, but won't get there. It will be Jesuit making the first exchange. Curtis second, St. Aug third, Carr fourth. Then Brother Martin, Holy Cross, and Rummel. This has quickly settled into a two-horse race between Jesuit and John Curtis, and the Patriots are closing the gap as we head to the turn. Still a little over 500 meters to go. Now Jesuit opening back up, coming off the turn. Trying to hold the Patriots at bay and make this exchange first as we head to the final leg.
Who's got the better anchor here? Who wants it more at this point in time?
Remember, it was King Taylor who won the Open 400, and he's got the lead now for John Curtis.
Looks like Kaiser Dunbar there on the anchor leg for St. Aug.
What hasn't he done tonight, right?
Everything but the Open 200. He gave
Curtis,
good chase, not going to have enough.
No, Curtis coming down the lane. He's going to pull up a little bit and cross the line in 3:20 and change, just off the district record. 3:20.34.
Outstanding.
Just 44 100ths off of that district record that goes all the way back to 1978. Jesuit 3:21.73 beats their best time of the year by 5 seconds. St. Aug third, Carr fourth. So they will all move on to the regional meet. Carr just edged out Holy Cross for that fifth spot. Brother Martin sixth, Archbishop Rummel seventh. So we wait for the final scores to be tabulated, and before we do, let's just talk about what we saw here. Team, individual, what impressed you tonight?
I thought the teams that won, Mount Carmel, Jesuit, and to some extent, really, Brother Martin and Curtis, Dominican, but particularly the team champions today, they executed like a team needs to execute at a championship meet. They did all the things that they needed to do. When they had some missteps here or there, they had teammates pick them up and get places that maybe they weren't supposed to get. And that's what you want to see out of a championship meet. That's what impressed me the most, is the teamwork that happened from top to bottom for these guys, for these young men and these young women.
So the final scores now are in. It is Mount Carmel 125, Dominican 107, and the Carr 77, John Curtis 60, Archbishop Chappelle 22 in the girls' side. On the boys' side, Jesuit with 151 points, John Curtis 117, Brother Martin 91, and the Carr 76, Holy Cross 56, Archbishop Rummel 49, and St. Augustine 45. So there you have it. There are our winners, and we saw some great individual performances this evening as well. Two immediately come to mind on the boys' side, and that was, the 800-meter win by Kaiser Dunbar, and then, of course, that record-setting performance in the 3,200. Obviously not his best, didn't need to be his best, Brady Mullen, but to take down a record that's been standing for 42 years in the process.
Anytime you can set a record, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the time is, what the mark is. If you're setting a long-standing record like that, kudos to you. Great job. And as you said, Kaiser Dunbar in that 800 was just outstanding.
And you didn't know. And the other one we should mention is this. You're talking about record-setting performances. Let's not forget Michael Turner and our thoughts and prayers that he's going to be okay. It looked like he might have pulled a hamstring running the 200 there, but setting a meet record that was 32 years old in the 100. The former Shaw standout Carlos Jones had the meet record of 10:41. Turner runs 10:37 to win the 100 meters there. So those two certainly immediately jump off the page in terms of record-setting performances this season.
No doubt. And like you said, thoughts and prayers with that young man, and let's hope he's okay and he's able to go next week at the regional meet. Those hamstrings are tough to deal with, and they can be tricky, but thoughts and prayers, as you said.
No doubt. Well, listen, this was certainly a pleasure, Mark. We appreciate you joining us, and glad to have you here in the booth with some expertise. And I think we saw some great action on the track and, for that matter, in the field this evening.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really this was a lot of fun for me. It was great to be out here to see all my colleagues and friends and watch these kids compete, because that's what it's really all about.
Also, our thanks to Matt Merrin and to Pearson Morgan for helping bring everything to you this evening. And our thanks to you for joining us. Don't forget, we have playoff high school baseball here at Crescent City Sports tomorrow night as Slidell and Chalmette meet in Game 2 of their opening round Division I non-select series. Coverage begins just prior to the 6:30 first pitch. Kirk Bollinger will join me in the booth for that one. Hope you will as well. So for Mark Faliveno and our entire Crescent City Sports production team, I'm Lenny Vangilder saying so long from Tad Gormley Stadium, where Jesuit and Mount Carmel have repeated as district champions in the District 9 5A track meet for 2024. Until next time, so long, everybody.